Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to The Angry Chicken, the podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. I am Garrett Weinzerl, and joining me, as always, is Willie Dills Gregory and Miss Jocelyn Moffat. Guys, welcome back.
What up?
I would say that today's episode is,
so hot.
Yeah, I'd say it's that. It might make you go,
Cluck.
And you should definitely get
Hype?
about it.
Is that a new one?
Are you quite done?
I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah.
Hype?
That one? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, man, I love
Yeah,
it.
I've not heard that one before, but I like that. It's
Yeah.
good.
I mean, all of those
It
make
gets me hyped.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, God.
I'll-
I'm just going to go. You don't even need me anymore.
No, we have
Just say
Just
what we should do is
soundbite.
we'll have Jocelyn come in. We'll just be like, okay, just say a bunch of weird stuff, and then take a month off. We'll be fine. We'll just press a button every time we need a little input, a little Joss input.
Just some weird shit. Just go. Boom.
Yep.
Done.
Just, we'll call it Jospot.
Yeah, we'll get some Joss
That would be amazing.
Hashtag
You guys have to
Jospot,
do that
everyone.
for the
Angry
first episode.
Chicken.
Oh, God.
I'm joined by Dills and Jossbot.
Yeah.
So hot.
Jospot, what do you think of the ATLC this week?
Cluck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Well
Jossbot.
played.
I knew it.
So thank you to everyone who sent those in. Multiple people sent in those clips. So thank you for sending them over.
I think people should start sending in more Garrett ones though, so you'll be forced to do them.
We need Garrett and Dills ones.
I know that I know. I never
No,
say
don't-
anything dumb or anything that could come off as weird
Nothing
or
worth
whatever.
capturing.
Never once in
Yeah.
my time as a podcaster have I ever put my foot in my mouth. I always come with the straight knowledge. Just I'm super well read up on everything. I've done my preparation. I don't stumble over words. So I know that no one will ever find one of me that's funny. So don't worry about me, but we need some Garrett ones.
That really sounds like a challenge. It really, really does.
Yeah, I'm going to go with
No.
hashtag Dills Challenge. Send in your
It's
best
not
Dills
gonna happen,
clips.
people. It's
And-
not
Yes.
gonna happen.
Yeah, make some Dills
Good luck.
MP3 clips,
Good
upload them to your web server of choice, put them in a tweet along with hashtag Dills Challenge, and I will pick the best and add them to my repertoire.
We've already got Andy
Yeah.
approves, says I always come. Boom, cut it off right there.
Done and done. I mean, Dills.
And you totally just gave him a better one without anyone laughing in the background. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I gotta say is good luck. Good luck. No one will ever top any of Jocelyn's. Let me hear a couple of those again, Garrett. Let me hear the Joss spot
I
one
mean,
more
we've
time.
got,
So hot.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and we got that, but I mean, my favorite is, of course,
Cluck.
it's great.
Yep, see?
It's great.
You'll never get that out of me. That's never gonna happen.
Oh, I am going to find an email where we will get that stuff out of you.
Oh, hold on. I think we just got another one from Jocelyn.
Put that after the
Damn it.
put that after the Dills clip, and you've got something really scandalous.
I'm just gonna bait more of them out of you while you're trying to get more out of me. It's not gonna happen.
This is great.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting episode.
Has anyone seen how expertly I deflected this? Dills tried to put it on me, and now it's just back to Dills
I
and
know.
Jocelyn infighting. I
No one's
love it.
talking about Garrett anymore.
such-
That was genius level stuff.
I'm
right
so
there,
good
Garrett.
at deflecting. It is. I'm an expert deflector. What can I say? It should be a new keyword in Hearthstone.
Garrett has divine shield.
Yeah,
Everybody.
you aim a spell at it, and it bounces off and hits a random minion. That's
Me.
By the way, speaking of divine shield, holy crap, aggro paladin is really good right now. Have you guys played I don't know what you guys are playing right now, but I just did a few games. I had the 5-win paladin or priest.
Yep.
And I saw Chalky was playing it. A bunch of other people had played it at tournaments. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a spin. And it is just I killed everybody on turn 6 or 7, pretty much. It feels unfair. I felt bad. I was like, I'm sorry. I did not well play a single one of my opponents though. When I unfairly killed them on turn 6 or 7. I was talking about this on my stream. That is bad aggro etiquette. It's okay to well play people when you actually played well or somebody played well. But if you smork them down by turn 6, do not say well played.
No.
But,
Now, if they say well played, you are more than welcome to return the good manners and give them a well played
Sure.
return. You do not initiate that well played. I am sorry. You don't.
No.
No.
No, you don't you don't just pour 1-drops on the board, kill them on turn 5 and say well played as you do it. You just don't do that.
Now say there was an emote that said sorry god draw, you could use that. You could use that emote in that
Maybe there's a
situation.
combination of, maybe you could say sorry, well played, like, or I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of way you can.
No,
you
if you
convey
win
that
on,
properly, but
if
I
you-
don't know.
If you win at turn 5 or 6, regardless of what deck you are playing, just don't emote. Leave it up to your opponent. If they're going to be a good sport and give you a well played, then return it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have incited my rage, sir. Or
Exactly.
madam.
Well, apparently, unless you're hashtag Joss Bully, then go for it.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Which
Damn
is
it!
hysterical because Jocelyn has always championed emote etiquette
Yeah.
on this show.
The non-BM, the non-spamming.
If we
So
had,
nice.
if we had like the Angry Chicken's Guide to Hearthstone, it was actually like a book you could read. Emote etiquette would be a massive chapter written solely by Miss Jocelyn Moffat.
I think
I
you
try
should
so
be.
hard. There's even
Yeah.
like emote meta that I try to stay on top of.
You
Like,
should be the
what
gold
can I
standard.
and can't say? Yeah.
People should come to you when they need to know. Is this okay? Is it okay if I say well played here? Real quick before we move on, because I know we're about to move into the news and stuff. But if anybody missed this, Eloise, who's the new Tempo Storm, I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she's a really good Chinese player, and she's now on Tempo Storm. But she was streaming with Forsen, and they were just playing like tavern brawls, and then they moved on to play like a best of 5 conquest format. And she beat him pretty easily in like the first game. And she starts BMing and playing all her cards out. And she's like, "Oh, I'm a gentleman. Let me show you all my cards. I'm a gentleman." It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, because I was like, I never thought of it that way. You're like, look, let me just show you now that I've won, but let me just, in a gentlemanly manner, show you all the cards in my hand so that now you know what they are.
The new high for trolling in Hearthstone.
It was awesome.
That
it was
is great.
Check out Eloise's stream if you haven't seen her. She streams early for us Americans, because she's in China, but it is an awesome stream.
I'm sure
awesome.
you folks have been watching the team league. They've seen her playing as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's playing in the team league as well. Correct.
And been,
Which we'll talk about later.
Yeah,
Yes.
we will. Oh, we're gonna have fun with that. That's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's one word I might choose to describe it. There's a lot of other words I would choose to describe it that aren't as PC. But yeah, before we rush into news and all that jazz, how's Brawl treating everyone? I thought Brawl this week was particularly fun. I had a good time. Everyone should run over to our YouTube and check out Jocelyn and I's next batch of Best of 3 in Brawl. We missed the previous week with Bananas, which I'm really sad about.
That would have been interesting, because
I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually,
Apparently, no one likes my banana jokes, so I'm just not going to say anything.
Well, it's because it wasn't funny, and that's understandable. But
it was almost like, you know what though, Blizzard just lobbed them in there, and they're like, "Here, make banana puns." And Jocelyn was
And I
like, "I want to
love
swing for the
them.
fences. Let's go."
now, guys, we've had Nefarian versus Ragnaros week 1. We've had Bananas week 2, and we've had Web Spinners week 3. I feel like I'm safe in saying that Banana Week was without a doubt the crown champion at the moment.
It was the funnest for me, anyway. And I don't know. I don't think you can say that for sure, Garrett, because I think everyone's going to have their own opinion on what was the funnest for them.
Well, if it was Nefarian versus Rag, they're just wrong, and they can save their emails.
But you got to play cards that didn't exist in the game with that one, right?
Yeah, they're all fun
some
for
people,
their
that
own
was
reasons.
exciting.
It was I had a really good time with it. It just, for me, it's like so definitely the worst because it was very lopsided.
I lost interest in it after very few games, and but the second one I also ended up losing interest in, even though I enjoyed the deck building aspect or the coming up with something cool to do, trying to think up new ideas. And that's not necessarily the Brawl's fault. It's just that I would like there to be some way to get myself out of, like, have you heard the term for Hero League, where you got to get out of like Hero League hell, like where you're in like the ranks like 50 to 30 or whatever.
Kyle and I call it MMR purgatory, but yeah.
Okay, sure. So at some point, I just wanted to stop playing tempo mages, or face hunters or whatever. I wanted to start playing other people who are doing weird stuff with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's when you just got to start playing your friends. And since it's Brawl, you're not really missing out on anything by playing your friends.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a good point. But I just wanted to try out weird stuff and then go. And play other people who are doing stuff I hadn't thought of yet or something, right?
Damn, I was hoping you
That
were going to
didn't
say,
happen.
I just really need to make friends. That's what I was hoping
Yeah,
you were going
I don't
with.
have enough friends, Garrett. Some people don't have friends they could just play in Hearthstone. Maybe like they're just out there like laddering and wishing they had people to play with. They don't.
Well,
We're not in that position, but
If they're
people
listening
are.
to this, we can remedy that. They go to tacpodcast.reddit.com and they make new friends.
Absolutely.
Because-
Yeah. Well, it is on you to make friends. That is a very
Because
true statement.
I
we
would
have an
s-
opportunity for you
Yeah.
right here.
99% of the people over there are really nice. There's that one guy. You know what you did. You know
That
what you
one
did.
guy.
You know
That
what you
one
did.
He
guy.
now knows that it was him.
He's been
But
dealt with.
I'm going to say this. I think this week was actually the least fun for me because
Okay.
no, I know Jocelyn disagrees, but I'll tell you why, Jocelyn.
All right.
This one was 100% RNG, and it's not fun when you just are getting crappy RNG and the other person's getting really good RNG or whatever. Like, it's fun when weird stuff happens. That's fun, but for the most part, after like, and the beast pool is fairly small, so after a while, it ran out of like interesting things that could possibly happen. Whereas, like, I think like the portals thing won't run out of combinations so fast. But with this one, it was like, oh, King Crush, how weird, crazy game story. But it wasn't really because it just happened all the time, you know? So, like, I felt like we were just playing coin flip.
I would argue that it's kind of fun.
Well, sure,
had
but
some
somebody like coin flips and gets tails and loses, and somebody coin flips and gets heads and wins. And you know, I mean, to me, that just lost. The first few were fun, and then it lost its fun pretty quick. That's all.
Are we not the three people that have been championing, and I would argue you created the random deck?
Well, yeah, the
that-
random deck still has aspects of like I can outplay somebody or I can come up with something. Yeah, sure, somebody gets a better deck than the other person, but when you're just playing web spinners and then just like, oh, Captain's Parrot, like it's just that to me wasn't as fun.
That
And like
is-
with the random decks, you tend to get at least a curve every time.
Yeah, you still
so
get a
both
really
people
good
kind of
curve,
get a
yeah.
similar curve because Blizzard builds. That's just kind of how it works. It gives
Yeah.
you somewhat of a curve. So sure, one person gets a little bit better than the other person.
That said,
but-
I have still had random decks where I get a Captain's Parrot and no pirates in my deck. So
Sure.
I'm just like,
Oh,
thanks,
oh, yeah.
randomizer. Well,
But
well
I
done.
okay, I did have fun when me and Jocelyn played a best of 7, but she just got way luckier, and like it was just kind of like, okay, like, but you know, like so like there was fun moments, but overall it kind of fell short of. You know, maybe what would have been cool is if it was okay. You have a deck with 20 web spinners. Now pick 10 spells to go with them. But instead, it was like the spells were random, everything was random, and you just went out and saw what happened. you
Oh, I
know?
definitely agree with you there. When Youngwoo tweeted out like the chalkboard drawing, and I read it, and I'm like, oh my god, we get to make a deck that goes well with web spinners. Let's do this, and I get in. and
nope.
I'm not joking. I made 3 decks specifically for it before I even hit go in Brawl, and then I go and I'm like, what the hell is this shit?
And then I show up like 2 minutes before. I'm like, nah, dude, it's random. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm just like, what is this? Totally deflated a little bit, but I gotta say, I had a really great time with this week's Brawl. I had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, I played it a lot, and I want to hear Jocelyn's take on why she thinks it was really fun. I mean, I gave my take.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it was just, I loved it because I could just jump in. Like, we played for probably 2-ish, maybe 3-ish hours on Wednesday night. And it was just me playing viewers in the chat room. And I just brought like one person in after another after another. There was no like waiting, no lull, no nothing. It was just like one game after another because there was no deck building. And it was fun. And I mean, like, yeah, it probably went 50-50, like one half, lost half, but it didn't matter because it was just fun. Even when you got like 4 King Crushes and 4 Captain's Parrots or, you know, just stupid crap. Because I found like with this one, because it was so RNG based, it was just like I could go in and have ridiculous fun. I could still talk to the chat room. I didn't have to think about it too much because like your play was pretty obvious. Like either you have a card you can play or you don't. Like you have 6 King Crushes and can't play anything for 4 turns and then you're dead. Like so I mean I can see how.
But I want to hear
if you're
more of
trying
why
to
it was
take it
fun than it was
seriously.
just fun. You know what I mean? Like I want tell me why it's fun, not that it's just fun.
Well, there were just
Why?
so many stupid, crazy things that ended up happening. Like, I played so much of it this week. I never got sick of it. I think that's probably the difference between this week and the 2 previous weeks. Eventually, I got sick of it. But I mean, I played on Wednesday night against the chat room for hours. Like you and I played. Garrett and I did the best of 3. I played some more on my own. Like I played more of this one than any other one because it was always different. It's the same reason I replayed both the Hunter and Mage challenge in the adventures. I like them. I find them repeatable more so than, and I guess, yes, with bananas, you could keep building decks, but when I want to brawl, I just want to go in and do it. I don't want to think about it too much. I find if I'm going to be thinking about it and deck building and really getting in there, then that's the kind of attitude I have towards ladder. So when I'm looking to brawl, I'm looking for something different. I just want it to be easy and fun and in and out. Win or lose, it doesn't matter.
Well, I guess
that's the thing.
It
really doesn't matter. I get my 1 win, I get my pack, and then after that, it's just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. So yeah, the problem for me was that I didn't feel like there was enough craziness that could happen because the craziest stuff that could happen was you got a King Crush, and that was like, oh my God, King Crush. But I got so many King Crushes or my opponent got so, like, after a while, it was like, okay, that's like, we're out of combinations of cool stuff to happen. And to me, like, I felt like with the bananas, there was still weird combinations I hadn't thought of yet. And that was more fun for me. Like, just
and I can
here's
see,
a bunch
I'm
of
not
web
saying
spinners.
bananas wasn't fun. Yeah, I'm not saying bananas wasn't fun. I really liked web spinners.
I think there's good things to both of this, and I'm surprised by how much I agree with you, Joss, because I was definitely way more excited about it when I thought I could build my own deck around web spinners. Like I said, I was kind of deflated when I got in and found out that wasn't the case. But then as game after game went on, I was kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Now, I didn't stay in there for 6 hours in a stretch, but I did find myself going back to it over the course of the week. It was like my wind down. It was just like, well, like you said, well, I can just get in, just choose a class, and just have some fun. I don't need to think about it. I'm too busy thinking about my ranked play or my arena deck or, I don't know, Dill's judging my terrible deck I just built to get some dailies done. Whatever the case is.
I don't judge, man. Come on.
Never judge.
But no, yeah, I mean, like after a while, randomness just to me loses its interest. Like there's only so much that can happen, and I just didn't feel like after I played it a few times, I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next, because what happens next was I got another King Crush or Gozrilla or whatever, and it just lost interest to me. Oh, yeah. So to me, I still feel like the first one had its like coolness of cards you didn't play, and the second one had the coolness of trying to build a deck around something that doesn't exist in the game already. And this one, while I agree that fun would be had, the fun didn't last very long for me.
I think it would have been slightly better had some of the class spells that were included not be completely useless in certain scenarios. Like Warlock decks getting like Call Demons or Sense Demons and there being no demons in the deck. And
sure, yeah. I mean, I agree that was not that cool either, because sometimes, you would just draw a spell and you're like, okay, cool.
Why is this in? Yeah, that's
it's just bad.
That was the thing that drove me a little betty, but I did have a good time with it. So yeah, go over on the YouTube. You can see Joss and I having a good time with it. I would argue one of us definitely had a better time than the other.
That's what I'm saying, though. One person gets a better coin flip. That's the problem.
No spoiler alert here.
Yeah, that's true. Won't say anything, but
yeah, well, it was a good time. It's a good brawl. I'm anxious to see what is unleashed upon us next Wednesday.
I so hope it's portals, but I don't think they do web spinners and portals.
I doubt they're going to do those back to back. Yeah, that would be surprising to me. I want something else where we can decide something, where we can make a decision and then do something.
I'd be interested to see how they would do something. Like, imagine you could build a deck with the web spinner things. So like you go in to build a deck and there's already just 15 web spinners just sitting in there and you can't remove them. You can't do anything with them. It's just like, well, build around it. I don't care if you're a hunter or a mage or whatever. It makes me curious if they test it internally and they were just like, well, if we're gonna do this, then hunter's just absurdly better than everyone else. So why don't we randomize
But Hunter wasn't, though. I thought Rose was the best.
Well, imagine how much better it could have been if you chose what went in that Hunter deck.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is the point I'm making. because they were random.
That's a good point. If you could choose what spells went in, you could probably. But I don't know. Like to me, I felt like even then maybe like what hunter spells really go well with beasts. Just
They're
Bestial Wrath,
Yeah.
Kill
Well, yeah, but even
Kill
then,
Command.
Kill Command's only
But Kill
2
Command is
cards.
5 damage for 3 mana, where a mage gets 6 damage for 4 mana, whether it's a beast or not. I don't see it being like crazy better, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, if you throw in Houndmasters in there, if you're throwing,
Well, yeah,
but
but
Houndmasters are minions,
Oh,
not spells.
yeah.
You can't just.
well,
put
I'm not
Houndmasters.
saying it has to be specifically spells. I'm saying if you got in and there was just 15
okay.
slots taken up
Oh, I
already
thought
by
we were.
web
Yeah, no,
spinner.
I thought we were talking spells.
No, I don't know how we got on that train. I'm
But I would imagine it as the way like it kind of was, where you get like maybe 20 minions that are web spinners, and then just fill in the deck with 10. Because the reason why I thought Rogue was the best is because 1 2-mana hero power was able to clear 2 web spinners, right? So you were always able to manage the board a little bit better than like you were with other classes. So like mages could do 1 web spinner for 2 mana, and druids could do one web spinner for 2 mana, and then like priests were like, well, I hope I get something I can heal because I can't heal these web spinners. You know? But yeah. I think all the classes would have had stuff that could have worked. Like priests could have done Velen's Chosens and stuff on their web spinners, and suddenly had really powerful web spinners. So I think there was.
Or
I don't think
Angry
hunters would have been
Chickens, 'cause
completely OP.
I pulled so many angry chickens, it wasn't even funny. Chat room started to keep count of how many angry chickens I was sacrificing.
I got one, I think. I like almost never saw. I got a ton of Captain Parrot.
Oh, yeah,
and,
no,
and there was that
Captain
one game where
Parrot's
you and I
chicken.
both just had beasts for days. Just the beast, like tons
Wasn't
of
that
them.
every game?
No, I think it was our second to last. I think it was our second to last game. Like you had like 3, I had 2, I think, and it was just Finkel and Einhorn all up in this business. It was great. I loved it.
Oh, you mean like the beast?
The Beast.
Beast.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Beast.
I thought you meant
There's
just
one
meant
game where
beasts. I'm like,
the capital T the Beast.
uh,
Sorry, specify. Anyway, I had a good time. I'm surprised by how much I enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to next week. I would say I'm a little bit
hype.
yeah, a little bit. So let's get into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Just a reminder, folks, if you want to keep talking about what we're talking about today, head on over to tacpodcast.reddit.com. Light news week, more or less. Hearthstone put out an announcement in the form of a literal scroll that they mailed to PC Gamer. And if I could put on my royal decree voice for just a moment. Champions are gathering from around the world to witness the next exciting thing Hearthstone has in store. New travels, someone's covering up the thing far and wide in search of brave new faces to answer the call to arms. Are you one of them? Muster for battle and mark July 22nd on your calendar. The next bit of news won't come by carrier pigeon. Thankfully, we have much better ways of communication now. So yeah, July 22nd, apparently we're getting an announcement. So says this announcement.
Yes,
Best
but
announcement
there's
ever.
clues. There's clues in here.
Yeah.
The call to. Are you going to answer the call to arms?
That's,
Um,
you know,
There
I
was the Argent tournament sound effect when they opened the tube.
yeah. News travels far and wide in search of brave new faces.
oh, I didn't hear about that.
So
Oh, no?
the theory is that this is an Argent tournament expansion.
Okay,
because
okay.
A lot of this is similar to what was going on when they announced
Ri-
Argent tournament in World of Warcraft.
See, I thought that was a huge stretch, but I didn't hear about the sound effect.
Yeah, if you watch
Oh,
the video
yeah.
when they popped
When
the
they
top
opened it,
off, yeah, it was like
Oh, I didn't watch the
whatever
video.
the sound effect was.
I just saw the image. Okay, all right. Whatever it is, I'm all for. What do you guys do? Do we think it's another adventure? Do we think it's the next expansion? Do we think it's?
Expansion.
I think it's expansion.
Do you think
yeah.
it's 4 weeks of themed tavern brawls?
No. No.
It'd be hilarious if it was just the next 3 like new heroes for $10. New faces.
Oh, jeez. People would rage. People would
I know.
absolutely rage. I don't think that's going to happen again.
No. I think it'll be an expansion, and with it, we'll get some heroes and possibly some sort of other new feature, similar to the way GVG came out, and then we also got spectator mode. So I'm thinking we're gonna get a bunch of new cards and some other like way to improve something or
Okay.
some new feature.
Do you think that this might be tournament mode, or do you guys
Possible.
just not even want to
You know,
talk
at this
about
point, I'm
tournament
whatever.
mode?
At this
You've
point,
been
whatever.
burned once. You're not ready to talk about it yet.
It'll happen when it happens, and I'm no longer going to get my hopes up about that.
I don't think it's tournament mode, and I don't even want to think about it anymore.
Sure.
Oh.
I was playing Magic Online the other day on the stream, and you know, while
Boo,
while
one-star
they
review.
have a crappy UI and terrible, there's absolutely no ladder system, and they've got these essentially just games for essentially it's just casual mode if you just play constructed, right? They do have a cool tournament lobby, and you can join tournaments and actually play tournaments.
Well,
and
that's
I
the
was just thinking about how much I wanted that.
That is the entire reason to play Magic Online, because I can't
Sure.
make it down to my local store, or I can't make it out to freaking Miami, wherever the local Grand Prix is, and I can just go online. Hey, I've got 3 hours to kill. Cool, let's do a draft.
Well, I was watching Day 9 stream the other day, and he said something that kind of resonated with me because he was, someone was talking to him about the Magic Online UI and how terrible it is. And he's like, you know what? I don't care because I like to play Magic and I want to play Magic, so it makes me able to play Magic and fine, whatever.
No, that
And I was like, there you go. That's the reason why it's fine, because I just want to play Magic, and here's a chance to play Magic.
no, I mean, it's a really good point. And also, when you think about how quickly they have to update that damn thing with how many cards, and
There's so much functionality.
the
that has
folks
to
designing
exist,
paper Magic don't give a crap how hard it is to implement some of the new rules they're instituting on the
Sure.
online side. It doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, as craptacular as their UI is, and it is an epic proportion of craptacularness, it's amazing that it even functions and they're able to keep up as well as it does. So.
Yeah, but I played some constructed games against some random people, and I was able to play the game. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Sure, I have to click the F2 button a lot.
Yep.
And that's really annoying.
And then you accidentally hit it and you lose the game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I had a couple of times where I needed to activate something in my main phase before my attack phase, and I didn't, and whatever. And if you're playing against somebody across the table, you can be like, if it's a casual game, I was supposed to do this, whatever. And sometimes people are like, fine, sure. If it's a tournament, that's not going to happen. But, it's just two different worlds. But just the tournament lobby existing, as soon as I was in there and I was looking at it again, I was like, this is what I want. I want this. I want to just go in and say, this is my format, and let's play 8-person tournament.
To bring it back around to Hearthstone, though, now that you've spent some time doing tournaments in Magic Online, do you feel like you have a better idea of why it's so hard to do in Hearthstone? Because Hearthstone is so much about polish and so much about being able to be easy and pick up to play and only have a few buttons to deal with.
No, there's absolutely reasons why a tournament lobby would not really go over with a big portion of the player base in Hearthstone and would kind of be weird, whatever. But it doesn't mean that there's a lot of people who want it. I think there's a lot of people who would embrace it.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody, but a lot of people. And if it's off to the side and you don't have to do it if you don't like it, then I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah. Well, and I obviously I'm in the same boat as you. I want it terribly, but I'm just trying to bring up the point of I understand why it's not just here tomorrow.
Here, have tournament mode.
Yeah.
No, they got to do it right. They definitely have to do it right.
Yeah.
And if they do it wrong, that's gonna be negative. So. But,
Well,
it was just a reminder of why I want it, because I was looking around. I'm like, oh, I could enter a draft tournament right now. That would be fun. And of course, with Magic Online, you're like, well, do I have 3 hours to chill? Because first I have the draft, then I have to build my deck, and then each round goes, and I have to wait for the next guys to finish theirs, even if I finish my matches really quick. So there's definitely some logistical issues.
Oh, absolutely. But I also don't think you can look at that as a negative. If that's just everyone puts that as who has 3 hours. Well, some people do have 3 hours.
Some people do, exactly.
Maybe it's just on the weekend. Maybe it's just I got a Friday off or something. But whatever the case is, if you know that going in, you can't complain about it. It's just this is what this mode is about. That's what that mode is about.
And I would definitely, and I think there's money to be made on Blizzard's end. If it was $2 to enter a tournament and it could win me some cool prizes, I would do it quite often.
Someone to show up to one of the weekend Hearthstone tournaments and complain that it takes 6 hours. Guys, this is this is not what Hearthstone is about. I don't know. I think it's silly. It's fun.
I mean, look, I'm just like I said, I'm not getting my hopes up, but I noticed it again. I noticed that feeling of, oh, I wish this was in Hearthstone. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys both played WoW pretty heavily in Lich King, right?
Sure.
That's putting it lightly.
Okay, so, but basically my point is like Lich King was way before me, so I am really not that familiar with Argent Tournament. I went back and did a little bit of it just to try to grind some rep and stuff.
Yep.
Got the basic idea, but really I was just trying to fly through it. So if this is an Argent Tournament expansion, do you guys have any potential insight into what we might see for people out there who haven't played Lich King?
It will be really, really cool until you have to play a bunch of mounted quests over and over every day.
Well, okay.
Okay, yeah, that I did do
I don't
a few
think
times. I was like,
jousting-
this is terrible.
No, man,
I
you're
don't
gonna
think jousting makes it into Hearthstone.
you're gonna have a new type of card that's gonna be a mount card, and you're gonna have to take you're gonna play that first, and then you play a minion on top of it, and they mount up, and you have to. And it's like an insurance policy, like Yoshi and Mario, man. You kill it, but you only kill the mount, and the minion pops. You're basically making your own piloted shredder golem.
Okay.
So whatever you put on top of the mount is basically like immune.
More or less. Like maybe it stacks stats but cuts it a little bit so it's just not ridiculous, or maybe it doesn't. F it. It stacks the stats and everything's a BGH target.
I like that. I like that.
That started as something I hate and it ended with something I really want now. Like I started that like, wouldn't this be terrible if? And then by the end of it I'm like, actually that sounds kind of cool. Make that happen.
I mean, okay. There's some other like so there's mounting stuff they could do. There's also like faction championing that you could maybe do in there, because that was like a big deal as well, was being a champion of your faction. There's a bunch of NPCs and bosses. This is where Nubarak was, right? We talked about this Garrett, when I was like, oh, a noob. And that's where he comes
like
from.
the arena where you have like all the bosses, they come in like one at a
you
time.
go in and and it's like they call it was TOC, and there was a
5-man and a raid,
and you could do regular and heroic. So I was in there 4 days a week doing all different versions of it.
It was fun, man.
There was some fun boss battles. Lich King showed up a lot. Black Knight is actually already in the game, and Black Knight actually was part of the Argent Tournament.
He was
the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh wait, there's that whole Black Knight story. Wait, we already have him.
He's the final boss in the 5-man version of TOC. So there was a 5-man dungeon version of TOC, and then there was a 10/25-man raid version of TOC, and they had completely different bosses.
Yes.
Okay.
But he was also part of just like a regular, like you tried to find the Black Knight and do all this stuff. But he was the end of the 5-man. But there's a lot of NPCs that are essentially just around that area of ICC, and so we could see a lot of cards that have kind of Argent Tournament flavor to them. And then there's I don't know how they would really put this faction stuff in, but there's also possibilities of them doing something with that. So we'll see, maybe. I see a lot of like cool options here for NPCs that can be added, and then of course there's all those bosses. So
I would really be excited because this would just mean so much paladin flavor that I wouldn't be able to contain my excitement.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I want to I would just be excited if they're just like, hey, here's another card back. It's paladin themed and it's not Draenei paladin themed. I want human or blood elf paladin themed. Damn it, no one cares about those space goats.
If this does happen, by the way, too, doesn't it feel like that would be leading into an actual Ice Crown Citadel type of expansion at some point?
Oh, yeah.
Like an
adventure?
expansion or an adventure?
Well,
yeah,
an
I think
adventure.
probably
You,
an
you
adventure.
can't. Yeah, I mean, if they did TOC, I mean, that's the next logical step. Although if we got that before Ulduar, I'd be. But I don't know.
Goblins versus Gnomes though didn't really lead into Black Rock Mountain.
No, but
really.
it wasn't.
Like
It was its
This is
standalone
much
thing.
more of a thing that happened on a timeline in WoW.
yeah.
Goblins versus Gnomes is kind of something they just pulled out of the ether, essentially. Like, there's goblins and there's gnomes, and they've been around forever. So that wasn't some timeline. That wasn't a thing that happened in WoW.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm really
What do you
starting to think that mount cards could be a super cool mechanic.
It's all over
Garrett's
that.
not letting go of that. We're screwed now because now we're not going to get mount cards, and he's going to be all. Grrr.
Oh, come on.
All right, so look at all these NPCs that you've got that could be, epic cards or legendary cards. You got Noob, Twin Valkyr, Faction Champions. This is where Jiraxis came from as well, by the way.
Yeah.
He was a boss.
Wilfred
Beast of Northrend.
Fizzlebank.
What's that?
Wilfred Fizzlebank, the gnome
Exactly,
that summons him.
Black Knight, Eodric the Pure, Argent Confessor Paletress, Lana Stouthammer, Jalen Evans-Song. There's a bunch of people. So.
All those Alliance jerks that you had to
Yep.
fight in the raid fight. They're all a bunch of cheating bastards with way too much health.
That was the faction champions, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They actually all have names, so they could all be in there too. So, yeah. There's a lot
No,
of
just call him
NPCs.
cheating Alliance bastard. That's what I want on the name tag, please. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to
They'll just be
play
cabs.
Cheating Alliance Bastard.
Yeah.
Oh, the CAB. That's
Yeah, there you
I
go.
love the CAB. I love the cab.
There's the Mage, of course, everyone knows. Noozle Whizzlestick. Everyone knows all about
Of
that guy.
course. I was
Yeah.
wondering when he was going to come back. He, she.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. That is
I
not.
think it's a he. It's one of the faction champions for
That is
Alliance.
not a gender specific gnome name.
No,
I think. I mean, I'm not on the up and up of gnomish naming conventions, but a lot of them have to do with fizzles and like
yeah.
electronic
Whizzles and-
thingies.
And bangs and pops.
Razzles
And,
and bangs.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot that can be done here. So I don't know. Seems very feasible.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Keep
We're
That's
not
good,
far
because
off.
I know, like I said, I have done some of the questing when I was at max level, and it's a pretty small area that's kind of tucked up in the corner. And I
Yeah,
was
no
just
one
kind of
goes there
like,
now.
are they going to do a whole Hearthstone? Like, isn't this reaching a little bit? So I'm glad that you guys are like, way.
It
It was a
ah,
big
this
deal
could
when
be
it
a thing.
happened.
Yeah.
It was
So,
pretty
all
cool
right.
when it was happening because
I can get on
you would
board
see when it first started. It was like an empty fairground basically, and you saw like week after week a new tent would pop up, and it's like they were constructing this tournament. And it was if you were there from the beginning, it was actually really cool to see. And then by the end, you were just sick to death of jousting.
No, yeah. By the end, you were done with it. The problem too was that the actual raid tier lasted for kind of a long time, and since it was all done in this one room, a lot of people started to feel very claustrophobic because
Well,
you never left the room.
the
There was
other
no trash
thing-
or anything, which was great, but
The other thing you have to remember too is it came right after Ulduar, which still to this day is
Which was
heralded as
amazing,
one of the
yeah.
best raids of all time.
yeah. But oftentimes we would still do TOC even when we were doing ICC and stuff because it was just like a short little, just run over there, check it out, or just run over to Ulduar. All of that was like right there, so it was kind of nice. It was one of the funnest periods of my WoW career for sure.
Do you think they may kind of smoosh them all together, or do you think they're going to save like Ulduar and Ice Crown for separate?
I think they have to be their own.
I don't
They're
want them
so-
to pigeonhole Ulduar into anything.
They're so
Anything.
thematically different. I mean, with Ulduar, you
Yeah.
have the old gods and all the craziness with the Titans going on, and it's very much about these constructs. And Ice Crown is so very much steeped in the Lich King
Lich King stuff, yeah.
and the Undead
Yeah.
Army and Ice Crown itself.
Yeah, they're not part of the same. Like, sure, they're part of the same expansion, but they're not part of the same storyline or.
Oh no,
the feel
and
or
I know
anything.
that.
None of
I'm
it
just
really-
thinking like, what if it's like the Northrend expansion or something, and it just has all of the
Please
raids.
no, Blizzard.
and
Please.
the...
No.
I mean, if they do it justice, if everything gets it's like enough content to give the fan service that Dills and I are clearly like frothing at the mouth for, then go for it. But I'd like to see them get their own separate things because I think
Yeah.
both Ulduar and
I think it's
obviously
because Lich King was, from what I've heard from all of my WoW friends, was just so amazing. Best expansion, highest population, great. But if someone was just like, oh, well, what if they did a Burning Crusade expansion? Or what if they did a Cataclysm expansion? Like, would you guys have the same gut, like, oh, dear God, no, reaction?
not for I would for Cataclysm, but for Burning Crusade, I'd be losing my mind too.
I'd be okay with Cataclysm as well. There's plenty of really cool characters. We're talking a card game. We're not talking about like doing that expansion again. So we really just need enough story
Yeah.
and enough NPCs
I mean,
and characters to translate to the cards. Because I didn't like Cataclysm as much as ICC doesn't mean that, Wrath of the Lich King, doesn't mean that there's going to be that a Hearthstone version of that would be really terrible or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm fine. I just don't want them to. I don't want them to smash a bunch of this content all together, and then in the end we get less overall content. And there's things that are missing. Like I don't want Yogg Saron to be at the end of this, whatever. If it's Argent tournament, that makes no sense,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
would just be weird.
Yeah. Chat room
All of
saying
that deserves its
smooshing.
own
I'm
stuff.
not saying that yay smooshing. I'm just saying, what if smooshing is a thing?
Yeah. I don't think that it needs to be. I think that, first of all, like if you got to think about the future of Hearthstone as Hearthstone going on a long time, you might as well just get the most you can out of each adventure and each portion of the WoW universe. There's no reason to cut corners and push it all together. And
Yeah, you don't want to make Northrend and then not be able to do ICC.
exactly. I think to me, like Ulduar and ICC should be two separate adventures because they're both amazing raid and two of my actual favorites. I think those and then Karazhan is like kind of it, right? So I wouldn't like to see them cut corners with that.
Yeah. Do you guys think they're gonna stick to adventures for the more heavily themed stuff, and full-on expansions are going to be a little more on the fun and wacky side, like Goblins versus Gnomes? Do you think our next
it makes sense?
Our next
I mean,
expansion is going to be like kobolds and gnolls?
Well, I don't know if they're going to go that far into
man.
that, but no, I mean, there's plenty of also like you got pirates, you still got ninjas, you got all sorts of weird stuff that can happen as far as the fun stuff. You can also still do just like you could do an Orcs versus Humans expansion. And you could do. There's a lot of stuff that you could do with the expansions, and I think you just do raid instances or adventures.
Oh,
you know?
War of the Ancients.
I mean, hell, if you wanted to like really make it broad and you did Burning Crusade, it could just be Blood Elves versus Draenei. You could have 100+ new cards that are very themed around,
And I could see Pandaria being its own expansion, and then you also then have adventures that happen within Pandaria.
Yeah.
So. I think if they stick to this kind of what they're doing, it's going to work well. It's going to give them content for an extremely long time. They're not going to run out.
Now, if everyone would just sing it with me now, kobolds and gnolls, kobolds and gnolls.
I don't know if that's
You're
happening.
just trying to get somebody to soundbite you now.
I don't know if that's happening.
It's good. Speaking of stuff that's the opposite of good, we are contractually obligated by our listeners who tweeted us to talk about Rekful at the Archon Team League Championship.
Drama.
Well, we're not, but we should talk about it because it was a thing.
No,
This
we
is the
are.
biggest
It's
tournament going on. We had a Maz
Yeah.
on, and we talked all about this tournament. And the first week comes, and there's drama. So we should address it.
Oh no, we should. It's just like it's been having so much fun now. Now we need to get serious for a second.
All right.
I don't want to get serious. I'm having fun, laughing and chuckling. It's a good
Look,
time.
we'll get serious, but we'll still have fun. All right.
It was really
can do that.
serious about mount
We can do
cards
that.
and kobolds and gnolls, though. Everyone, that was serious business.
I believe in our ability to maintain a fun attitude during serious times.
Yeah. So
Agreed.
to wrap up the Rekful drama in a very quick nutshell, and we have a lot of links in the show notes if you want to dig way deeper into this. He casted the team league with Rodan.
This was the second day, by the way.
Yeah,
this was
day 2.
Day 2.
Yeah.
So
So
what
the
was this,
first day
Thursday?
was Crip and
Crip and Frodan.
Frodan. Yeah. And the second day they paired up Rekful with Frodan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I even saw some of this, and I guess it was after the fact, and I didn't even notice the crap that was going down beforehand. Because, Jocelyn, you kind of mentioned it. I think I was just like, I'm busy. I've got it on in the background. Amaz is casting. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you watched the second half. Then,
Yeah.
because-
And been running
I
around.
watched the whole thing.
I've been running around like crazy. So, I missed this entirely. So I didn't really notice all this until today when you guys were like, are we talking about this? I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I checked Reddit, and I'm just like, oh, my God. So again, to wrap it up quickly, he was casting with Frodan. He did just an awful job, not paying attention, didn't do his research, didn't know what he was talking about, swore multiple times on stream, and then also used the word rape very casually and pissed everybody
He
off.
used it in like the term that some gamers use it in, where they're essentially saying he's going to
You could substitute it.
Swipe would be bad for this person, but instead of
Yeah.
saying that, you say he would get raped by Swipe right now. And this is something that gamers have. It's become that part of the vernacular, and I'm not a fan of it at all.
I would argue that it was
sucks,
it
but-
was a part of the vernacular. And
No,
it's
it is
definitely
Like,
a
that's what I'm
lot
saying.
less.
It has become part of the vernacular of gaming, and that's why people think like that it's fine, right? But that's not what the word means to a lot of people. So when they hear it, it doesn't feel good to them.
Yeah, I mean, and I was like I said, I was watching, I was listening, and it made me go ooh, and I was just like,
Yeah, you
oh
get a
man,
little
like
reaction, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
you exactly. Like I
Whatever.
definitely had a reaction, and I'm not one of the people who's necessarily going to have a reaction to that. And I was just like, oh,
That's not going to go over
no,
well.
that's not okay. Like, that made me feel squeamish, and I can only imagine how it made other people feel. So it's the kind of thing, especially given the size of the tournament and the, just professionalism that is
There's
Frodan. It just,
50,000 people watching at that
and
point.
there's exactly, and it just, I think it was also a little bit of a shock as well. Like I wasn't even expecting it. Like if you're tuning into someone's Twitch stream, not that you're necessarily expecting it, but it's a little bit less kind of like smack you in the face when you're watching a professional tournament with the prize pool that they've got and the player talent that they've got and all the sponsors and everything else. Like that is the last thing you're expecting to hear. And I mean, and I was at work too, so I wasn't necessarily in the, like I was in a very professional mind state at the time, and I was just like, what did he really just say that? And then I looked at chat and I was like, oh my god, he did. Okay, moving on. Like,
Well, and you brought up a good buzzword, which I think should overshadow this entire conversation, which is professionalism. And
exactly.
this specific tournament is a huge event, and they're definitely throwing everything at it to make it as big as they can. So I personally go into it expecting a certain level of polish, a certain level of professionalism. So there's a lot of places my brain goes with this. First off, why was Reckful even asked to cast in the first place? He is not a professional caster at all.
Well, okay, I could definitely answer that. I think is the fact that most of the guys who would have been asked to cast are actually playing in the tournament.
That's true.
The fact is that when they were saying like, okay, who are we going to get to actually cast this thing? That's a notable Hearthstone personality who's not going to be playing in the tournament. There's actually not a lot of big names, and they need to get somebody who's well known. And he is one of the, like when he streams, he gets a high number of views.
I mean,
and
do you really need two people who are huge names, or could you have taken a chance
Not
on a
necessarily.
lesser known community caster who actually knows what they're doing, is good at their job, is professional, and hey, he's there with Frodan. It's fine. Everyone knows Frodan. That's a perfect time to introduce someone who may be a more unknown player, especially if your other option is casual sweary Twitch pants.
The thing is, though, I've seen he has a relaxed style, and that can be okay. What he needed to do was just button it up a little bit, and he didn't do that at all.
He didn't
like
even
went
button
the
up
other
at
direction.
all. Like at
No.
all. He was eating on stream. He was not paying attention. He
No,
had
but people
nothing
really
of
enjoyed when
interest
him and
to
Crick
add to the
did the first
conversation at
thing.
all. He sounded like an idiot. Like
No,
I
he
had
didn't. He didn't try. at
no
all.
interest in
No.
listening to him. He was just
Yeah.
it was the worst casting I've ever heard.
I'll say this though. I think that had it been imparted to him that this was what was expected of him, was to be professional and to come with knowledge of the tournament, knowledge of the players, and act like he gave a crap about it, I think he could have pulled that off if he wanted to. But I think at some point there was no communication to him that they wanted him to be really professional, and he just treated it like whatever. And he lost his job before it. So, he got what he was supposed to get out of it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's what should have happened, because whether or not you think it's okay to say what he said or not, it's not okay to just be completely flippant about casting one of the biggest tournaments that's going on.
Well, and I think that's the thing. Like everyone who jumped on Reddit and jumped on Twitter right away, they're all the people that were watching, which means they're taking it very seriously. Like I said, I was sitting there listening to it at work. Like I was taking that tournament really, really seriously. Huge prize pool, so many great players. Like I really want to see how this all shakes out. And so you've got your like most hardcore of hardcore fans. They're taking it really seriously, and it's like a slap in the face to those 50,000 people when he doesn't seem to give a crap.
No, that's
Sure.
you're
I can see
absolutely
that.
right. I mean, it's not even close on the same level. We're not sitting here with 50,000 people, but take our show, for example. We've all worked very hard to make this something that people actually want to listen to. Like, do you know how many people are out there that would have killed for the chance to cast the ATLC? Like,
Yeah,
absolutely just killed for the chance. and given it their all, researched it to hell and back, and just nailed it. Or even if they didn't nail it, they would have done fairly well.
Well, they would have tried to nail it.
Yeah,
and
they
they didn't try to nail it.
Yeah, and at least at the end of the day, they got to cast it. They got to cast with Frodan, and they're just happy as hell.
This is part of his persona, though, which is, I think, something that people need to understand.
To be a dick?
No. To be like a guy who just kind of doesn't really care that much and is just whatever. Like that is part of his persona. But what he did there was he treated not his own, like, to do it on his own stream is one thing, and to be your persona. But when you're asked to do something like that, I think that there is fault in organizers of the event as well, though, to tell him, like, are you going to do this? Like, this is what we expect of you. Because if I go to my job and no one tells me what's to be expected of me, and then I don't do my job, is it all my fault, or is it also the fault of the people who didn't tell me what I was supposed to be doing?
I agree with you, but I also love the idea that you would show up to work, and if no one told you what to do, you would just sit in the back,
I would just
farting
be like,
and eating.
I don't even know what this is, man.
I don't give a shit, and expect to still have your job.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't expect it. Maybe he didn't want to do it. I don't know. But whatever. The fact is, he's gone now.
Yeah.
But I think, like, the real thing here is there's a couple of things that kind of bothered me about the situation, and one of them is that sure he was completely unprofessional, didn't really seem to give a crap, and said some things that were incredibly offensive to people, and those people are fully allowed to be as offended as they are. I hate the thing of, like, oh, you don't like it, don't watch, whatever. That's stupid.
Yeah. No.
What I didn't like, though, was there was one person who then tweeted out, and I looked at, it's a person who I'm not very familiar with, but who's also apparently like a Dota esports personality or a writer or something, who then tweeted, like, at Play Hearthstone and Zarya, like, well, I guess if you guys are okay with this,
This was
then
so
whatever. And, like, I was like, why did they get called out? Because
it was
that was all happening in real time. Like,
it was at Alpha Ferg was just lighting up Zarya on Twitter, I think very unfairly.
Because to me, what that is, so I tweeted the other day about how it's crazy to me that Donald Trump, not Trump SC, that Donald Trump is leading any polls, right? So I tweeted this out. This is my own personal opinion. This has nothing to do with anything else.
Oh my God,
Some
Jels,
guy
I'm kidding.
who's like a Donald Trump supporter, I guess, tweets at me a story about a Mexican American, or not a Mexican, a Mexican illegal immigrant who had, I guess, killed somebody, and tweets at me, "The blood is on your hands." And I'm like, okay, what? Like, I have nothing to do with that. That's ridiculous. And, like, to me, like, these are kind of comparable. Like, you can't say that because Reckful's, like, being an ass as he's casting this tournament, that somehow, like, Zarya and Hearthstone are somehow complicit in this and should be called out. Like,
I think that
two
might
things
have had
don't go
something-
together.
Yeah, I think that might have had something to do with the fact that Blizzard's logo was on the stream. So it could have
Still,
been
sure, it's a game.
seen
but...
as an endorsement. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to tell how much of, involvement Blizzard may or may not have had prior to that whole Reckful incident. So I mean, I can see reaching out to a CM, because that's what they're there for, is to manage the community and to kind of have these kind of conversations and clarify things like this. I don't think that all of the fallout from those tweets, like, obviously that's way over the line, but I don't think there's anything wrong with expecting an answer from Blizzard when their logo is on a stream.
Sure, but there's one way to say that,
that's
which
not
is
necessarily
like, I don't know if you guys know this, but this is what's happening.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
And there's another thing to, like, immediately jump to,
Yes.
like, you guys are responsible.
You're basically-
and clearly must support this.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Well, and like I
those are
said,
two
like
different
I
things.
don't agree with the way that the communication was done, but I don't think going to a CM was the wrong choice.
Oh no, go to a CM.
No, but the way you did it was,
but-
like,
Yes.
this is not the way to react to this stuff.
But close those gaps in your horrendously flawed logic, please.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
use your brain before
Yeah.
you type on the
It
internet.
doesn't do any good to call people out for things that they didn't themselves do. Like, it's one thing to express your opinion about it, but to just find some person and then just blame them for things
I mean,
that they didn't do, I don't agree
Yeah.
with that.
I
And
mean,
you lose your argument right away.
I
you
mean,
know?
if we want to ride the counter argument train a little further, what does this person want them? Do we need a Blizzard Gestapo that are standing in the background of every single tournament that ever happens or every single game of Hearthstone that is ever played, and they will stop you from doing whatever it is you're doing if it offends anybody? Like, Come on, you
Yeah.
crazy people.
Well, okay. So I wouldn't necessarily be against Blizzard kind of doing what Wizards has done, right? Which is kind of own the tournament scene a little more. But that's not where we're at right now. So the people who are creating these tournaments, there's one tournament that Blizzard has a lot to do with, and obviously they do award Blizzard championship points to tournaments that qualify, under a certain like set of rules. But they're not doing what Wizards is doing, which is essentially like, here's all of our open tournaments throughout the year, and we have all control over these. It's two separate things. So I would be okay with that happening if that's where they wanted to go, but that's not where we're at now. So you can't expect them to be part of that deal.
I mean,
right?
and I honestly, I really like how community-driven the esport effort is in Hearthstone and most of Blizzard games, really. Because, I mean, we could tomorrow be like, we're going to do a Tavern Brawl tournament. I don't know why, I just feel like it. Here's $300 to the winner. It's up for grabs. Let's just do this. And we don't really need to talk to anybody.
No.
We can do that.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. That's
on
great.
us. And you know what? If I want to show up naked and scream at the top of my lungs about how I think anyone who has a freckle on their right cheek should not be allowed to play in this tournament, that's on me. That is not on Blizzard.
Sure.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I'm sorry. I'm just really
It's on
prejudiced against freckles, man. Like, I cannot, even though I have many of them myself, I am a self-loathing freckle haver.
Yeah. There's a weird thing that happens, though, with stuff like this, where, like, people get offended, and then they go out, and then other people go like, oh, man, free speech, why are you getting offended? And the fact of the matter is, people have a right to be offended. Amaz has a right to then fire said caster if he doesn't want this to be what represents his tournament. And all of those people are actually exercising free speech.
Right,
Like, nobody is not, you know what I mean? Like, that's the whole thing, is that some people were like, oh, just turn it off then, whatever. Like,
Yeah,
we're
freedom
getting
is-
pissed at people for being pissed. It's like, dude, we're all expressing the free speech. 'Cause-
Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequence.
No, it doesn't.
Like,
Yes.
there's a huge difference.
Yeah, no one's in jail after this. Everything's fine. He's not going to be casting anymore. That's just kind of the end thing. But I did actually want to talk a little bit about, because Garrett, you brought this up when we were chatting about it on Skype earlier, that I think people kind of grow up saying things that are kind of insensitive without realizing that they're
absolutely.
insensitive, and it becomes part of their vernacular, part of just the normal, like, casual way they speak, right?
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this actually on an older episode of The Angry Chicken. If folks want to check it out, it's episode 43. And oddly enough, it was in reference to the last time Reckful was a jackass
What do you know?
while streaming.
Oh, man.
But what it is, like we mentioned it there, I believe, talking about how the casual use of the word gay in place of, say, the word lame. Something that I feel when I was growing up as a gamer in the 90s was hugely common. You had South Park, which still a thing today on South Park, because they will, God forbid, they will never apologize to anyone, and good on them.
But they're kind of making fun of it, right? Like,
Right,
the characters
well, it
that
is.
do
It's
it are like
tongue-in-cheek.
Cartman and stuff.
Yeah, they're characters you don't like anyway.
And there's also a discussion there to be had about venue, which I feel like could take up the rest of the show. But like, if I go to see a comedian, I'm not gonna, and I know he or she is into this brand of like either racial humor or gender or sex based humor, like I'm not gonna go and then be offended. It's like, well, no, I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I don't go watch ATLC to see
to see someone be offensive.
to see someone be offensive
Yeah.
or treat it like they're
If I want to watch Reckful be Reckful, I watch the Reckful stream.
exactly.
If I want to watch Crip be Crip, I watch the Crip stream. But when Crip casts these tournaments, these bigger tournaments, he does put on a more professional air about him. Another great example is Forsen. Like, Forsen's stream is like well known to be this stream where kind of anything goes, right? The chat and whatever. But when he cast, I think it was DreamHack,
It was DreamHack,
he
yeah.
was very professional during that
Yeah.
cast, and he basically just talked about what the players might do or why they might do them, and just cast the games, and didn't really bring his own personality into it. So it's possible to do both.
Yeah.
It's possible to be yourself in your own space, and like you said, the venue matters.
But back to your point, Dills, which was like,
Yes.
you know, what we said when we were younger as gamers, or whatever clique you decided to put yourself in when you were growing up. I used the word rape a lot when I was younger, like in games all the time. getting on Xbox Live for the first time, playing Counter-Strike. Like, it was just something I did. And it was something I consciously made an effort to eradicate from my vocabulary. Like,
Sure.
and
I know a lot of kids, like when I was growing up, would say the word gay all the time. I didn't really have a circle where people would say rape as a gaming thing, but I remember, like, I grew up in San Francisco. This should be the place where that doesn't really happen, right? But still, as kids, like, kids just say what they say. But at some point, yeah, like a gay person, a friend of mine who was gay, said to me, you know, it really bothers me when that happens. And I remember, like, when he said that, and I was like, I see why. I see why that bothers you, because they're saying that the thing you are is somehow comparable to something stupid or something lame or something dumb or whatever. And it's like, here's the deal, man. I respect that offends you, and I won't ever say that ever again.
you know what? It's
now
also,
I cringe when I hear it.
It's also okay if you don't get it, as long as you just accept the fact that you might never get it, and should probably respect that fact.
Well, that's the thing. If you want to say it or whatever, but like, you need to realize that you're going to make people feel bad, and if that's okay with you, okay, sure. But, you know, if it's not okay with you to make other people feel bad, then just cut it out. You don't need to do it. It's not really doing anything for you. So I think it's something that I think over time will become less of a thing. I know that like youth culture, the culture of kids growing up is to just kind of be as whatever as you want. And that's a thing. There's the rebellious phase of everybody's life. And I had it and everyone has it, and it's fine. It's whatever. It is what it is. But as you grow up and Reckful's not a kid. He's like, I don't know, he's in mid-20s or something like that. Like, you should probably know that by now. So people should know that by now. And I don't think he might have ruined his chances of being a caster. If he cares, I don't know. But I don't think
I don't really get the impression that he cares.
I don't think so either.
I don't get the impression that a lot of the audience cares if he continues casting.
Yeah, that's true. People will watch his stream and that they'll enjoy that. You know? That's fine, and that's probably where it should stay. That's
Yeah. I mean, I respect. I don't know. Respect your venue. Like,
sure.
Even if you're like the world's most like offensive, like underground freaking punk band playing at a local venue, don't set it on fire. You know, don't burn it down, because the person behind you would like to use it. Like, whatever crazy stupid analogy I can come up with. But I don't know if you guys could tell, but this struck a chord with me.
Sure. That's the thing, though. It's like, I mean, I don't know if you know how you guys feel. Like, I wasn't personally offended. Like, Jocelyn, you said you had the kind of reaction, but I wasn't like personally offended. But I was just kind of like it just makes you go like, now I kind of know people out there are feeling bad, and that sucks. Like, I just don't want people to feel bad. I don't like making people feel bad. I don't like knowing that people are feeling bad. And so whether or not it offends you personally, it just kind of feels gross and annoying, you know? And
that's actually a really good way to put it. It made me feel gross.
Yeah.
I was just like, bleh.
Yeah, you're like, I didn't need that right now.
Yeah,
like, I was just kind of watching this and having a good time, and now, like, I'm thinking about this. That's stupid. I should be thinking about the Hearthstone games.
Yeah. And for me, it really came down more to just the demeanor and the professionalism, because it's like,
exactly.
Just in general, the way he treated the tournament. Yeah.
Like, if it's Seed Story Cup, even like, okay, I expect more of a casual atmosphere there because of the venue. It's everyone just kind of hanging out there, literally cramped into a tiny space together.
Yeah.
I expect a little more about that from there, but this is on par, for me at least, with the BlizzCon championship. And I don't expect
same freaking prize pool. Like, that's what they should be aiming for.
I don't expect whoever's casting BlizzCon to come up munching on their snack and not pay attention to what's about to be said.
You could tell it was bothering Frodan, by the way, too.
Oh,
like, Frodan did not seem to be having
Frodan was the champion of the week. He gets all the Hearthstone points this week because some of the crap, like, first of all, he's this, which just made me happy.
Because Leroy, turns out, does damage to the face.
That just, like, slayed me. Absolutely slayed me. And then also him clearly getting annoyed.
This casting isn't for noobs.
Loved it. Loved it.
The thing is, Frodan's like as trolly as anybody when he's just kind of like being whatever and hanging out, and he understands that it's okay. I watched him stream. Have you guys ever caught Frodan streaming, by the way?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He's only done it a few times. He's not like a guy who streams all the time, right? But his stream, he was super casual and laid back and making all kinds of jokes that were not at all like of a professional manner. But you could tell that he's like, "Yo, I'm here to cast a damn tournament and do my best doing it," and it was bothering him. Like you could feel the tension of just like, please, Reckful, like do this with me. But he carried him as best he possibly can, and I give a lot of props to Frodan for what he did there, because if it wasn't for him, it would have been much worse.
Yeah, no, he did a really good job, I think, doing all of it.
I was going to say, to end on kind of a really high note here, when Amaz did take over, he and Frodan did a fantastic job. I really, really enjoyed listening to the second half of that cast.
Yeah, I thought they did.
Amaz is fine. He's not. I wouldn't call him like he's not like a natural caster, but he came in.
But
and
I thought, I've seen him
put
before,
his effort in.
He definitely put in. Exactly. See, he tried. Like we were saying earlier. You know, it would have just been nice to see somebody that tried, even if they weren't the best ever. And I really think that when the two of them got together, they meshed a lot better than I thought they were going to. And I was really, it was like, okay, yes, this is what I want to be listening to at work.
Back on point. Yeah, I thought they did it.
Back on point, much more enjoyable. Yeah. The whole comment at the end too. It was like he just kept going worse. And at the end, they're like, Frodan's asking about the next match, and he's like, I think the Asians will win.
Oh my god!
And it was just like you realize you're casting with an Asian person.
I've got
now is just kind of like, okay,
guys. I have Reckful here if you'd like to talk to him, because I want to know, Reckful, what do you think of this particular player?
He kind of sucks.
Okay. What about Aggro Paladin?
I hate the Aggro Paladin.
Okay, well that's really deep, man. What do you? Is someone good at making decks?
And these people are both good at making decks.
Yeah, deep insight, deep insight. So, and I will keep this on my soundboard for a while because this is just too fun.
Sorry, I was
all right. Well, we'll see who they got next week. You know what? They should get Karma. I think Karma should cast.
I think they should.
I'm putting my vote out for Karma.
I would also bring some. Forgive my play on words. It brings some good karma into the world.
She didn't get to play. She should go there and cast.
Yeah.
She should have been playing, by the way. But whatever.
So when I think of the opposite of my reaction to Reckful, I think of Karma.
All right, let's do something else.
Let's do it. Let's move into this week's strategies.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
Today we're going to talk about beating Patron Warrior. Well, playing against it. We're not guaranteeing you're going to beat any Patron Warrior because results may vary. But
sometimes you think you're winning.
And then
you are not.
And then Patron happens.
Yep. Or not even paid. No, it's friggin' berserkers happen, man. They have too many win conditions.
Yeah, and then all you can do is
cluck.
All you can do. It's the only thing you can do. That's all there is to do. So Patron Warrior really hasn't waned at all, guys. It's still pretty popular.
No. I would say it's still considered the number one deck going by quite a few people. And in fact, Zalay is currently holding the number one. Well, I don't know, maybe not. He was earlier today. But holding the number one spot on NA. So with essentially just Patron Warrior. So it's really good.
Yeah.
I misplay the crap out of this deck all the time and still win a lot of games with it. So
well, you and Raynad are apparently still part of the same team then.
Yeah, we're trying to convince Blizzard to nerf it by playing terrible with it and climbing ladders somehow.
God, can you imagine a couple weeks ago that was the thing that infuriated me the most about esports in Hearthstone, and now last week happened, and it's like, oh, never mind.
Wait till you see what's gonna happen next week.
Man, Raynad, you're fine, man. Just keep doing what you're doing in those interviews.
Keep doing Raynad.
Keep doing Raynad. You've got you're fine. Everything's fine.
But yeah, it's definitely the strongest deck. The thing about it is that there's a lot of, it's like you need to kind of, because they start slow. They definitely start slow. It takes a while to kind of put the combo pieces together. But it's similar to the way that Hunter used to be, where you would maybe try to outrace them or something like that, and then you'd get punished by Buzzard Unleash. If you continue to kind of overwhelm the board and try to end them before they can actually get that big combo off, a lot of times what you end up doing is actually enabling the combo, because once they get the frothing berserkers out and they whirlwind, you've got like 6 creatures on board, and your creatures get used against you. So it's really tough to know exactly what you're supposed to do. Like a lot of times you're theoretically figuring out how much damage they could possibly do to you the next turn without even seeing the cards. And if you've ever played Patron, you realize how hard it is to figure out how much damage you can do when you actually know the cards. But when you're trying to just theorize what they might be able to pull off, it's a whole new level of just frustration when you're playing against this deck. So it's tough to just know exactly what to do against it. And Jocelyn linked a really good article earlier, so I'm just gonna go through that.
There's a couple of really good ones in here. I mean, first up is titled "How to Beat a Patron" from
Yes.
John Bedford over at Metabomb's Hearthstone section.
Well, just everyone wants to know how to do it right now. Everyone is focusing on Patron.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is the deck to beat. I mean, if you go into any local tournament, you're definitely going to run into it. I mean, heck, our Fireside Gathering tournament, I feel like the majority of the players all brought a Patron Warrior.
Pretty much, yeah. And at this point too, you're seeing more Patron Warriors than Control Warriors, which was like that was just crazy, a month ago. Like
Yep.
Control Warrior was still considered much better, but now it's just like, oh, what control? Like when you see like a Sludge Belcher hit the board or something, you're like, what is happening? This is a Control Warrior? It's just not anywhere anymore.
Yeah. John's article brought up some good points that I think are good to hit on. He mentioned silence effects. Definitely hold on to them. I think that's really important. Like, don't use your silence too soon.
Sure. Well, you need to know that you're going to be able to deal with the Thaurissan when it comes, because it's coming. And whether you can kill it or silence it, you need to have some way to deal with it. So, and that and Warsong Commanders are the other, I think, kind of key card that if you could silence it or something, or even if it's early on, you have another silence effect, you can silence like Acolytes of Pain or something, because they rely so heavily on the card draw. But silence effects are very important against them.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, you'll be in situations too where you might just have to silence a patron. Doesn't feel great, but sometimes you have to do that. Obviously, watch your minions that have less than 3 attack.
Yes.
And maybe make peace with purposely sacking them as you move into the late game. When you think that patron combo is coming, start getting rid of those sub 3 attack minions.
Well, it's turn 8 or turn 7 if they played Thaurissan.
Yep.
Or possibly even, yeah, you're right, turn 7.
Yeah, because they played
If they got it off on both, but yeah.
If they coined out Thaurissan, then it could be turn 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also means
I was like, I
the
know
patron
I've
to
seen
4.
this turn 6 because I've been like, really?
they also would have
coin
had
out Thaurissan on turn 5, then you can do the Warsong and Patron on turn 6. So yes, could be.
You'd also have to have really lucky draws.
Yes.
Like you need to have your patron and your Warsong Commander and your Thaurissan and go second. All by turn 6.
But with the amount of card draw they have, though, it's not actually that hard to put that together.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, of all of the combos, that's your least likely scenario.
But think about like the rest of the deck that Patron is. Essentially, they have these combo pieces, and then the entire rest of the deck is ways to draw those combo pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what the deck like. They're not even playing Dr. Boom anymore. They're not playing Gromish anymore. They're not playing any of that. Like Thaurissan is the end of the curve. Like that's it. Everything outside of that.
So it's the whirlwinds and the do 1 damage, give it 2 attack thing. Inner Rage.
Cruel Taskmaster?
Well, there's Cruel Taskmaster and Inner Rage, so there's multiple ways to do that as well. And then there's 6 total Whirlwind effects, because you've got Unstable Ghouls, you've got the second half of your Death Bites, and you actually have Whirlwind. So there's just insane amounts of ways to enable the combo that they actually have, and then the rest of the deck is all Acolytes of Pain, Battle Rage, Gnomish Inventors. Like it's just all ways to draw into it. Now, even I don't know or Slams, or is the other way. I don't know if you saw Sixo's latest version. He has 1 Fiery War Axe now. He's like, I just thought like that doesn't Whirlwind. I don't want 2 of those. I just want 1 of those. And like that's insane to think that you would ever remove the second Fiery War Axe. But the deck doesn't care about that. It's like I'm going to kill you once I get my combo pieces. So everything else needs to be about doing that.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean the very early stages of playing as a Patron Warrior can look very similar to playing a Control Warrior. You're going to see weapons come out. You're going to see Armor Smiths. You're going to see Acolytes of Pain.
Or you're gonna see armor up pass or something. As long as they're damaged. I've played a bunch where that's my play. Is make sure I take damage first as the patron warrior, and then just start armoring up and just waiting. It's just like wait to go crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on with tips. Do whatever you can to stop the warrior from drawing cards.
Yes. Kill acolytes.
Yeah. You don't want acolytes to get more than one card draw if you can. And it's weird because it's like leaving damaged minions up is a super liability because it's another draw from Battle Rage.
Yep. Yeah, and also damaging their face sometimes is the wrong thing. I don't know if you've seen this too, where like some pro matches, they won't actually damage the guy's face because they're just like, I'd rather he just doesn't have that one extra card from Battle Rage, and that's a weird thing. But it's kind of like not hitting, it's kind of like not hitting a hand lock, you know?
Right. Well, it's exactly like that. I mean,
yeah. Like you don't want to enable their strongest thing is, which is to draw a bunch of cards. So.
Right. The correct thing, the correct way to play Patron Warrior is to anticipate all of his pieces coming together and just play around it until he's exhausted all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Weapon removal is interesting against Patron Warrior.
Yeah, so Ooze is back in a big way. In fact, a lot of people are running Ooze over Harrison now because you just need to be able to do it at a moment's notice, and you need to be able to do it like whenever it happens. You can't wait for Harrison. Harrison's too slow.
You need that
5 mana. So.
You need to pop that Death Bite before the warrior wants you to pop that Death Bite.
Yeah, because a common play now too is to Death Bite on turn 4, and then on turn 5, even if you don't have the full combo, you end up with 4 patrons because you play a patron, then you enter rage it, and then you hit something, and then you whirlwind, and you have 4 patrons now, and it's incredibly tough to remove that because you have 2 full health patrons and 1 5/1 patron and 1 3/2 patron. So suddenly you're kind of in a bad spot. So you got to get rid of that Death Bite before they do it.
Yeah. Jocelyn, thoughts?
What?
Questions, comments?
No, keep going, keep going. I'm talking to chat room. It's all good. Making sure that their needs are taken care of. Linking all the links.
You're just supposed to pause for a bit, make a bunch of keyboard noises, and then go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was AFK."
Oh yeah, I was totally AFK, guys. I'm
right.
so sorry.
If you
I'm
want
sorry.
to cast big tournaments, Jocelyn.
I'm sorry I didn't do it right.
And then probably the point that John Bedford brings up in his article that I like the most, because it's something I even forget to think about, is even if you've killed all their patrons and you think you're in the clear, don't forget about Frothing Berserker. I feel like everyone does this. I'm definitely guilty of it myself. Do not
forget.
forget.
Well, the Frothings are actually, I think, even more dangerous than the patrons. Because it's actually that the patrons enable the Frothings. Because what you do is you end up with a bunch of patrons, and then you're able to whirlwind with a bunch of patrons out and buff your Frothings like, +5 or 6 or whatever immediately, because you have so many creatures on board that, they get all that, every damage done to any creature on both sides of the board. So it's really the Frothings that are super dangerous. I would say keep an eye out for how many Warsong commanders have been used. Don't just go like, oh, all the patrons are gone, I'm safe. It's the Warsong commanders. Once those are gone, then you might be safe, because the Warsong commanders enable both of these.
You're also really safe. You're much safer from other patrons if all the Warsong commanders have been dealt with. Though I would take issue with that patron warrior if they're throwing away their Warsong commanders and have
you shouldn't be.
Yet.
Yeah, they're making mistakes.
Yeah, they're misplaying if that is the case. But nonetheless, I mean, it happens sometimes.
Yeah,
you draw poorly as a patron warrior. You gotta try and make something happen. But anyways, Frothing Berserker. Scary stuff. Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, you could do. I mean, I've done essentially 30 points of damage with nothing on board in one single turn with Frothing Berserkers. Well, you have to have both of them, and you have to have everything be cheap, and you have to have a lot of whirlwind effects, but it's really not that difficult. If you could get Thorason out for 2 turns or something like that, it's actually very simple to do with maybe like 4 or 5 cards. So
yeah,
it's pretty crazy stuff. And then there's another article that I found that I linked because somebody had made a good post in the R competitive Hearthstone subreddit, and they had done a whole article on the mistakes that most patron players make. And if you've tried to play Patron, you probably made some of these mistakes. So, yeah, we just told you how to beat Patron, but let's just talk real quick about some of the mistakes that Patron players do make. And,
It's funny,
and if
too,
you
how
are
much,
playing Patron, watch out for these.
It's funny, too, 'cause there's a lot of crossover between these.
Sure, no, absolutely. You can if you see somebody do these mistakes when they're playing, you can probably say, okay, this guy's fairly new to the whole Patron thing. Which I've made all of these. I've made all of these mistakes. I read through it. I was like, yep, done that one.
But some of those games, I still won.
Exactly. I know, it's kind of sick. So playing Thorson when you don't have the combo pieces. A lot of people just chuck Thorson out on turn 6 because they think, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Use my mana.
Yeah, but if you don't have Warsong Commanders, Patrons, Whirlwinds, Inner Rages, all the stuff that you actually want to do the big damage, you shouldn't do it. You should just continue to draw, continue to manage the board, and wait it out. Because soon you will have 3 or 4 of those combo pieces, and you can do that. Playing Acolyte of Pain just on turn 3, just by itself, and then getting 1 card off of it, it's a big mistake. Missing out on Patrons when you can make more Patrons. You got to use your Inner Rages right. You got to use your Whirlwinds right. Frothing Berserkers just to put a threat on board. Frothing Berserkers are like finishers, man. They're that's I think why Grommash is gone, because people realize well, Grommash can do 12, but I can do 12 with 1 Frothing Berserker. So why don't I just keep those in and make more space to draw into them? But you still see a lot of people just throw the Berserkers out and then do a trade and then have a 4/4, and you pretty much don't want to do that. You just want to wait until you can actually just kill them with your Frothings.
I did this early on so many times. 'Cause I was like, well, I've got some Patrons on board. I'll throw it out. I'll make some trades with the Patrons. It's buffed up, and it didn't matter. They had removal. It's just,
sure.
it's just a
When
waste
they kill
of
it,
minion.
and you lose out on your burst damage, essentially. So, let's see. Not damaging yourself. So if you are playing a control deck or something, and you have no play on turn 2, it's actually correct not to armor up, because you need to take damage so that your battle rages get you 1 extra card. If you start armoring up, you might never end up taking face damage for a really long time, and you're losing out on cards later on in the game. I think that's one that I think a lot of people aren't going to... That's not an obvious one. It feels like you're supposed to just armor up. Against aggro, yes, armor up, because they're coming at your face no matter what. But let's say you're playing a priest or something, you should not armor up. So... not in every case, but I'm just saying, think about it.
I mean, it's a priest. You probably really don't need to ever armor up. I mean, it's going to be a slow game.
But I mean, that's part of the once you take damage, then you should be arming up just to kind of stall the game out. You know what I mean? It just depends on who you're playing against. If you're playing against a class that's not going to do damage to you for a while, then you don't really need to armor. And I've seen a lot of pro players do this where they just pass on turn 2, and it's really weird for a lot of people to see the first time. They're like, wait, what? But there's a game plan behind that, and that is just to make sure. And then, again, if you don't have Battle Rage in your hand, then you should probably just armor up. But if you do have Battle Rage and you realize that you're probably not going to take damage for a while, then it might be correct not to armor up. And then this one I think is the big one. Or sorry, Gary, you put this one out though, the Dread Corsair one, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, blew my mind. This is something I never thought of until I read it, which was as Brian Page put, "Stop wasting Dread Corsair." And I wish he put another "stop it" afterwards. Stop it. Which the whole idea is don't just play it just because it's free because you have a weapon equipped. Save it for fodder for your Whirlwind to give your Frothing Berserker another 2+ attack.
Well, it's also another 3 attack minion that can attack that turn.
That too.
And it costs 0 mana if you have a Death Bite when you do it. So
you got
it's essentially could equal 7 or 8 damage, if you could attack with it and Whirlwind and be buffing 2 different Berserkers with it and all kinds. It could equal a lot of damage.
It is such a strange card, because it's free and it's early on, and maybe you haven't figured out exactly what your opponent. Well, maybe they're mid range, maybe there's a little more coming soon. Maybe I just want some buffer. It's no, just be patient.
Yeah. But people are using one of them now. I'd seen at one point people were using 2 Gnomish Inventors, but people are starting to kind of move around with that. I have seen it with 0, but I think I don't know. To me, it's the card that's done really well. Just to have another body that can play for 0 mana on those turns when you can get your Deathbite equipped and enabled. So, and then I think this is the one that I'm still dealing with a lot. And That is the rope. So,
Oh, jeez.
did we mention it that the rope is now shorter? It's not 90 seconds anymore. It's now 75 seconds.
I think we mentioned on the after show that we forgot to mention it on the main show.
We forgot to mention it on the main show. So they kind of sneaked that one in there.
We're really bad at our jobs.
Yeah.
Not wreckful bad, but still pretty bad.
Yeah. They kind of snuck that in there. They just shortened the rope. There's a 75-second turn timer now. And you used to get
Poor
90
life
seconds.
coach.
It's you know what it's very noticeable once you know that it's obvious that it's happening faster. But the thing about Patron is that a lot of times you're thinking about the math and you're trying to figure it out, and if the rope starts, you don't have time to then do the play that you thought of, that all the stuff that you were going to do, because everyone get in here and then it takes the damage, then it goes out. And not only that, but every time something takes damage, the Frothing Berserkers sit there and do the little count for each one, and it takes a long time to do it. So if you think you've got it and you don't trust your quick math skills, actually just do it. Like, a lot of times you do have it, and if you just go. And I've had a bunch of times where I've roped and gotten, like, would have had lethal but missed a couple of patron attacks or something. So
don't play Patron Warrior on my phone.
Or don't play Patron Warrior.
I don't do it on my phone because accuracy is harder, and it takes me that much extra of a second to do it. And
we should be calculating the amount you think you can do the next turn, every turn. Like when you have whatever in play and you have whatever in your hand, you should be thinking about, like, so Whirlwind, if there's 6 creatures on board, a Whirlwind is going to be +6 to each Frothing Berserker, right? So you got to think about it in those kind of terms. So if you can get a Warsong Commander on board and then 2 Frothing Berserkers, and that makes 6 creatures on board, and then you Whirlwind once, that's going to be +6 to each Frothing Berserker, right? So that means you're going to have 2 8-damage Frothing Berserkers. If you can Whirlwind again, that's another 6, or maybe some creatures have died. But you should, like, think about this stuff before it's the turn to actually do it, because if you start calculating that turn, you're going to run out of time. So
I would have been.
There you go. Karma said it in chat right now. Start counting your damage a turn before, instead of sitting there watching. Yep.
I would have been so much better at math if I had Hearthstone when I was in high school,
right?
Or didn't.
Or at least quick math.
Yeah. Like,
exactly. I can do math. I just need to think about it.
Yeah, may have actually finished all my questions on those tests.
See, I was always really into math, but like this is a different form. Like, you just got to quickly assess a situation.
Yeah.
So just that ability to, like, go, okay, 2 + 6, 2 + 6 again. Okay, now I got 3 pigeons, and I'm going to turn it into 4. Like that kind of stuff. You got to be able to do that really quick. And if you can't do it if you're not some sort of Rain Man, then you should probably be thinking about it, like, every turn, what's possible the next turn.
Very true. Very, very true. But we have links to the articles that we reference in the show notes over at amove.tv/TAC, so go check that out. Any closing thoughts, Dills, Joss?
Patrons OP.
It's a strong deck.
Always.
It's a very strong deck. Raynad is getting shirts made. So, anyways, let's take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
Cluck.
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. It's not getting old, Jocelyn. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's never going to get old.
I'm sorry.
I need to personally write an email and thank the listener that sent that in.
I promise I will not be using it as much in future episodes.
Oh, no, it's fine. Have at her. It's just...
I'm not promising you. I'm promising that the listeners are probably just like, it's funny. It's not that funny. It's not that funny. Anyway, our crazy
just
game.
Don't add it to a bumper.
I can't promise that, and I'm not going to make Dills promise it if he makes new bumpers.
No. It may or may not happen.
Please
don't. Have to wait and see.
Thank you. Please don't promise it, Dills. Like, I want that to be up in the air. Our crazy game story comes to us from Mandalorian Drac this week, and he or she writes, this is from the Reddit.
It's from Reddit, yeah.
Oh, snap. So I lied. You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com or also to tacpodcast.reddit.com. Mandalorian Drac writes, okay, new Tavern Brawl. Super excited. I pick Warrior, and the game begins. First web spinner dies. and Captain's Parrot. Not a problem. I can still win, I think. Second web spinner dies. Captain's Parrot. 3 web spinners later. Captain's Parrot. Why? This is all written in this way, folks. It's caps for emphasis. What did I do to deserve this? I lost badly. P.S. There were exactly 0 pirates in the Brawl Warrior deck, and the Hungry Crab wasn't all that handy either.
This story it was like the worst Brawl story possible. Everyone was like, oh my god, I did super crazy things with like 256 attack Gazrilla, blah, blah, blah. And then this guy's just like, what?
I lost. His story is I lost.
Yeah, this to me, like, explains exactly why I think that the portals will be more fun. Because there was stuff that could come out, like Captain's Parrot was just like a straight up blank. And a 2 mana blank too, you know? Like at least if you got Angry Chicken, it was like, well, that's 1 mana. That's fine.
Yeah.
Dills,
you know?
Dills, are you Mandalorian Drac? Is this your like...
No, this is not me. This is not me.
That's when you were talking about it earlier. I was like, I wonder if he's read the crazy game story.
I definitely did draw a ton of Captain's Parrots. That happened. But I also drew my fair share of Gazrillas and Malorns and
Oh yeah,
you know,
that was fun.
yeah, and Crush. But yeah, it was just like this to me, like, because at least with the portals, there's not going to be. I mean, yeah, there'll be kind of blank cards, bad cards, but this was like that literally has no chance of ever getting a pirate because the only minions in your deck are other web spinners.
Web spinners, yeah.
Yeah. Like that was one of the. Remember when I was talking about the Hunter deck and I put Captain Greenskin in because if it were to happen that I would get a Captain's Parrot, at least I could get some value out of it.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
All the ifs.
Yeah, I stick by that.
I think that's a super fun
turning
idea.
your axes into 4/3s is pretty good too.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. So, yeah, thank you for that, Mandalorian Drac. That was great, and I'm glad it came on a week where I was feeling energized to not just read this in a monotone voice the entire time. So, man. All right, let's take some emails and wrap this thing up.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
Send your emails to you know where. Landroid writes in this week and says, hello, Garrett, Jocelyn, and Dills. I'm not clever enough to coin a new Angry Chicken pun. Well, at least you're honest, Landroid. I have never really played mage or rogue because my wife will often ask if I think they're prettier than her or if I would like her to dress like them or show as much cleavage as Jaina or... What did you put in our show, Jocelyn?
That'll teach you not to read the emails ahead of time.
Yeah, I feel like I glanced over this and just missed this part
I
entirely.
read this
Entirely. Anyway,
I'm staying out of this one. You guys can discuss amongst yourselves.
I'm gonna power through. Or show as much cleavage as Jaina, or if they turn me on, or blah 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 insecure girl questions. They're dressed too sexy. Before we go down the why is your wife insecure road, I'm not gonna do that. Even if I'm actually thinking that, Landroid, that is so not a road I'm gonna go down. Anyways, he says the point is this: I dropped $10 on Medivh the second I could. I've discovered that I love mage. I can now play peacefully, what is essentially a new class for me. I hope the alternate rogue portrait will allow me the same luxury. Now, if only we could do something about the Wind Fury Harpy card. I'd still never play it, but still. This
email made me laugh so much. The title of it was like something about like new hero portrait saved my marriage.
Why didn't you include
I had to put it in.
Why didn't you include the subject title? That's amazing.
Because it's so much better when I smack you in the face with it after you've had to read this embarrassing email.
I was about to pass it off just because I just read the crazy game story, not because I knew what was happening, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because I feel like without prior knowledge, it would have made me look like a total d-bag.
Yeah.
This is such an incredibly unique problem to have.
Right?
Jaina is Katie's favorite hero to play, so I definitely don't have this problem. I've got. Can I reach it? I think I can reach it.
Oh, Garrett's gone AFK.
I've got my action figure of the blood elf chick right here. now really afraid of where my hand is landing.
Really conscious of things now, aren't you?
Yeah. Landroid, you're making me feel all uncomfortable inside. So, I have no comment to this other than, yay!
Yeah,
I'm glad you can play mage now. Also, that Medivh card back, super dope. Really like it. It's pretty. Dills, get me out of this.
I'm AFK. All right, Boca Negra says, "Hello, Cluckers. Really enjoy the show. I am a relatively new player, about 250 wins, and have been slowly building my card collection. I buy packs when I can, but mostly purchase packs with gold. Given that, I try to maximize my gold farming by re-rolling daily quests to try to get 60 or better, and always making sure I have a spot open for the next daily quest to drop. This strategy causes me to not focus on any one class, as I just generally play whatever class will satisfy the most daily quests. What this also means is that I equally suck at all classes. I want to get better and ultimately push for legend, but feel like I can't get to know any class well while farming for gold at the same time. By the way, due to real life, my playtime is limited to only about 3 to 10 games a day, so I usually don't have time to finish a daily and focus on a main or two. Any advice would be greatly appreciated." Okay, well, I actually think that if you have time to play 3 to 10 games a day, you'd probably get more gold by playing a class that you're doing well with and winning more often than just focusing only on the quests. Because actually, that's more than I play. I don't get to play 3 to 10 games a day. Like, on days when I play a lot, I definitely play more than 10 games, but there's plenty of days where I just play like a game, maybe. And I'm able to farm a lot of gold just by playing like a class that I'm winning with. You know, you can actually get quite a bit of gold, and sometimes they'll line up, and that'll be part of your quest as well. I would say focus less on the quest, and also if you get a 40 gold quest, that's fine, because maybe 2 wins to get it is going to take less time than trying to get 5 wins and getting the 60 gold. I mean, I think you're min-maxing. I think you're doing it okay, but also like just getting plus gold is actually, you'll find that it actually builds it pretty quick. And then the other suggestion I would give is, why not try out Arena if you're trying to build your collection? A lot of times I find that, say, if I get something like a priest quest, I'm better off trying to do an Arena run with priest, and I'm essentially hedging my bets, where even if I go 2 and 3 with priest, because I kind of suck at priest, 2 wins was enough to actually win 40 gold for the quest, and then I get whatever quest or whatever rewards I get from the arena run. And to me, I think that that's like a faster way to build than to try to just be earning 100 gold at a time to buy packs. So it's a good way to also get better with cards you don't have, because you can't play with cards you don't have, but in arena you possibly can. So,
well, and I think what he's doing here, where he's kind of letting his quests dictate what classes he plays, I think that's also a really great way to learn your opponents and to see, like, you may not necessarily have all the cards they're going to, or have, like the meta decks that they're going to be playing against, or that you're going to be playing when you go up against them. But just getting to know all the tools that are in all the different classes and how they play and those play styles and stuff is really, really helpful when you're going to be playing those 5 to 10 games a day and really trying to make your push. I think what you're doing is actually a really, really good way to kind of set the groundwork for eventually making that push.
Yeah, but I also think though that if he's doing this, like only playing based on what quests you have, and then also re-rolling quests just to try to get 60 or better, you might be slowing yourself down just a touch. Like, yeah, you're going to be getting experience with different classes, but if you are just concerned with grinding gold and getting there faster, it might be better to re-roll classes that you're not performing well with, rather than re-rolling just to get the 60 gold quests. Because you're like, if you have 2 classes that you're terrible with and don't have a lot of cards for, it might take you 10 games just to get a few wins.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
and that's going to slow you down. So, if you can get it to turn into a warlock quest and play Zoo, which is cheap to make, or Hunter, which is cheap to make, and then you can actually play like a quality deck with a limited card pool and build up your gold a lot quicker. So maybe don't think of it so much as just trying to min-max the amount of gold that you earn with the quests, and maybe min-max your time a little bit more. you know.
And there are a lot of like chat rooms throwing out some options here. Like there are some cheap decks that are pretty viable. Zoo, Aggro Paladin, most hunter decks, they're pretty light on anything in the epic and legendary category. So I mean, if you've got a really small collection, but you want to try to take those 3 to 10 games a day and make a push and just see how you do, there's a lot of cheap options that you can go with to just see how you do.
Yeah. Yeah, and also if you re-roll the classes that you don't do well with, sometimes you get like win 3 games or you know, do 40 damage or something like that.
Get it back.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, I feel like getting too focused on the amount of gold you're getting for the quest itself can really slow you down. So you can grind out a lot of games really quick with Aggro Paladin. And the actual like the 10 gold per 3 wins will build up pretty fast. Quest or no quest.
Garrett, thoughts?
I agree with the arena comment. I would go with arena.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm doing on my EU account. It's working really well. Like I just see what quests I have, and I open up arena, and I just pick the classes that I have quests for, and then I go.
I just realized when I play on Katie's account, I should just be playing arena.
Yeah. And then like if like okay, let's say it pops up and it says, you know, Paladin, Warrior, Mage, right? And then I go to my quests and I have one for Mage, and then I have another one that's like Warlock, Rogue. I'm like, okay, there's Mage. Let me re-roll this Warlock, Rogue one, and maybe I could double dip Mage. And sometimes I get to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I just do both quests with one arena run.
Yeah. Jocelyn, what's our last email today?
Last email comes to us from Tim, and he says, greetings. I've noticed I get a lot better card odds in the Goblins versus Gnomes packs versus basic packs. What?
Nothing. No, go ahead.
I see a lot more legendaries, epics, and even golden cards versus the basic packs. Do you guys see the same thing and think there's any validity to my findings? Thanks. Love the show. So did Dills or Garrett throw this link?
I posted this link. Yeah.
Okay. So I have seen that article before. Basically, it's just an article full of card pack statistics, but maybe I just skimmed it too fast. Is there anything in there about specifically Goblins versus Gnomes, or have they just aggregated like all the data from everybody opening packs?
No, this is there's technically no difference in the percentage chance you have to get legendaries, epics, rares, gold, whatever. All that is like the same percentage. Goblins versus Gnomes like has different percentages out of just that card pool of how many like legendaries exist per all of the cards, but it doesn't change your chance.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like you're pulling from less cards when you're opening Goblins versus Gnomes than what you are from the classic
but
packs, right?
it really just means you're gonna get more duplicates.
Yeah, let's say you
amount,
definitely have a higher chance of duplicates. You have the same chance for better rarity.
For legendaries, yeah.
Yes.
So the math is kind of funky because basically people just kind of did field tests, and there's a few people who aggregated all these field tests together, and they've kind of come to the conclusion that it's like this percentage for this percentage for that, this percentage for this, but there's this caveat that makes it a little more difficult where that every pack is guaranteed to have at least a rare, right? So that actually kind of alters the percentages if you're talking about what your percentage within a pack is. So it's somewhere around 5 to 6% of packs will have a legendary. So if you buy 20 packs, you have a pretty good chance that you will get one legendary out of those 20 packs. So you get to kind of think about it in that way, like about one legendary per 20 packs. I don't want to get into all the percentages or whatever, but if you wanted to know, people have done the work for you and they've actually figured out all the math. But you're probably you have a small sample size and you're just getting luckier with GVG packs. It's not necessarily that they're more likely.
Good question.
As with any small sample size. Yes.
Good question. Because when he first said it, I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense. I mean, it's a smaller card pool, but it's like, well, no. You have the same chance.
But they don't do it that way. Yeah, like
said.
essentially the card like rolls, okay, what's the percentage that this will be a common, a rare, an epic, or a legendary? And then once that's determined, I think it just determines which one of those it is.
Well, right. Well, I mean, it's the same thing with like Magic cards. You're guaranteed X amount of uncommons and rares. And
yeah.
It's not like
you get one.
It's like, well,
rare
this Magic set has significantly more rares, so we're putting 2 rares in it. They don't do that.
Yeah.
Still same odds of cracking something.
And
good.
that's why weird stuff happens. That's why you get like there's a chance. I think it's like 1 in 5 million or some crazy amount that you'll get like 5 legendaries in a pack. So
1 in
that
5
stuff
million
could happen.
sounds very correct. I mean, that's definitely where my brain would go on that.
Oh no, here it is. No, the chance of getting a pack with any 5 legendary cards is 1 in a million. Never mind. It's only 1 in 1 million. That's actually
But
So it's
This
totally
has been-
doable. I got to
but
go
it's
open
happened.
packs.
But didn't you just say
happened.
with any?
of any 5 legendary cards. Meaning you could get 2 of the same legendary. Like, you know what I mean? It's just it has 5 legendaries in it.
5 legendaries in it, yeah.
Yeah. So like not saying like 5 Tyrians, like just
There's
saying
a-
5 legendaries.
I like this. There's a 0.4% probability of getting 2 legendaries in a single pack.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. That means if you buy 100 packs, if you buy 200 packs, 1 out of 200 will probably have 2 legendaries.
All I have to say to that is, so you're saying
Kinda.
there's a chance.
There's
So
a
you're saying
chance.
there's a chance. Yeah. Oh, maybe no, that's not even right. No, holy crap. No, that's still a that's a low amount. But yeah.
It's an incredibly low amount.
16% of the time you get a golden card. That's too. They need to up that, man. Because I need golden cards.
I know.
real
I
bad.
need all the gold cards.
16.26% of the time it works every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm done. I'm done with stupid references for the day. I
Have
promise.
you guys ever gotten 2 legendaries in a pack?
No.
I have one time, but one of them was terrible. I got Gromish and I got what did I get? I got like Gromish and like Illidan or something like that. in the
I
same
think
pack.
the best I've ever done is 6 legendaries in a batch of 50 packs. So
Okay.
I got like, one every like 8 packs instead of
So that's
every-
that's above the rate that you
I think
put.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That might have been
Good
what I got
packs.
last time. I think I got
But they were
5 or
terrible
6.
legendaries. Like it wasn't anything I wanted to use. but
Every time I get legendaries, I can't think
had
of an
to craft
instance.
all of them.
Yeah, like all the legendaries I have that I use, I crafted each one of those suckers. Tyrion, Sylvanas, Ragnaros, like all of them.
Oh,
Cenarius.
Garrett. Sad face.
Yeah. Well, you remember the day GVG came out. You were
Oh my
sitting
God.
there watching
that
me
was
crack
probably the
packs.
funniest stream I've ever seen.
I'm just like, oh, Blingtron. And at the time, we didn't know of that one mage deck for 3 days that it was good in.
Yo, I crafted Blingtron, man. I needed Blingtron.
Well, that's
I needed him in my life.
Well, that's because you were.
I got a golden Blingtron out of a portal, and it was amazing.
Well, Dills, that's because you are the king of swag, so you need.
I know,
you need
right?
Blingtron. So, anyways, I think that's gonna do it for today's episode. That was a lot more jam packed than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, that was a long one.
Had a good non-planned discussion of Brawl at the top, and I thoroughly enjoyed our walk down WoW memory lane discussing possibilities for TOC. This is a good time. And now let's sit here for another 10 minutes and recap what we just talked about.
Best cast ever.
So
Well, let's get let's go ahead and we'll get Nerdist here and we'll do Talking Tech. That'll come on after every single episode.
if you ever got Chris Hardwick to do anything within a remote vicinity of me, I would fanboy out to a level that no one wants to see.
No one wants to see that.
We don't
guys.
want to see it. No, you're
No.
right.
No. The Angry Chicken is supported by our epic patrons, all 485 of you. Thank you very, very much for supporting the show. You are awesome.
And we're coming up with ideas for more stuff.
Yeah, we've been talking.
Yeah.
We've been talking. So keep your eyes peeled
Yeah.
to patreon.com/TAC because we've got some new milestones in mind. We're trying to
Announcements of announcements.
announcements
Here
of
we go.
announcements. Not nearly as exciting as new
Announcements.
Hearthstone content being announced, but we're excited about it. So yeah, patreon.com/TAC if you want to support the show. Thanks to Russ S, John H, Martin F, LVE, and Serious Tiger this week. Why so serious, Tiger? If you're leaving us iTunes reviews as well, we really appreciate those. Helps us get new listeners. Thank you this week to 73 Ryder, who says, it's broken like Dr. Boom, and yes, Garrett and Dills are the boom bots.
7-7, baby.
So I'm assuming that means, by process of elimination, that Jocelyn is the Dr. Boom to our
Josh
our
just
boom
gets
bots.
big game hunted, so gone.
Yeah.
Then me and Garrett are like, "What's up? 8 damage to the face."
We sit here and have an RNG party. That's what we do.
exactly.
We are the
You
two.
never know what's gonna happen.
Hey,
when
you know-
Garrett and Bills come in the room together.
4th of July just happened. We're the two drunk guys with Roman candles. That's what we are.
Yeah,
That's it. Shooting it at God
And
knows
then
where.
Jocelyn is gone, and now there's a 4-2 on the other side of the
Yeah.
board. Oh well.
Oh.
Sorry, Dr. Boom. Also, thanks to Michael Spangler, Seabass, Tendy Girl, and Switters1817. Thank you all so much for making your names readable this week.
Kick his ass, Seabass.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Dills. That was loud.
Sorry. That's just a little throwback to Dumb and Dumber.
I know. We're all trying for sound bites this week, I realize.
Oh, whoa. Ah, crap.
Jocelyn's the only person
might
who's
have
not
given one
going
away.
out of her way to make a sound bite.
I said I wasn't going to give one, and now I might have screwed up.
Sound bite?
Hype.
Nope.
It's good. The Angry Chicken is produced by amove.tv and frogpants.com. Catch our past live shows and other videos over at youtube.com/starcastshow. That includes Jocelyn and I's most recent Best of 3 in Tavern Brawl. Our t-shirt is over at slashloot.com. That's SLASH loot.com. You can't just use the slash key. It doesn't work, folks. You have to type it out. It's a cool shirt. Use it.
Yeah, it is. Very cool.
Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast. Catch us live on Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/AMoveTV or on alphageekradio.com. Check out Brian Griffith, who made our intro music, over at briangriffithmusic.com. Dills, where can folks find you?
Folks can find me on The Instance, which is Fridays, and it's with Scott, Terpster, and Patrick from France, and we talk about World of Warcraft, everyone's favorite game of all time. And still your favorite game of all time, because it's still awesome, kind of. You can also find me...
That was the worst type ever.
Hey, look, whatever, man.
I now need
Look, these guys are good at building decks. We know that. The Instance... Sorry, Torture Cast.
Good at making decks.
Torture Cast is a podcast about the San Francisco Giants. I'm going to do an episode after this, actually. 4 Giants are in the All-Star game this year, so that's kind of cool, but the Giants are on a terrible losing streak, and that sucks. And then I think also all 3 of us are going to be hanging out with Yang Wu. When is that?
Are we allowed to
The
talk about that?
18th?
Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, he told me I could.
Oh, I didn't know.
So the 18th, 2 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to hang out on Yang Wu's Twitch stream.
Wait, all 3 of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, I think.
I thought we were doing one at a time because I'm not going to be
Oh, maybe
here.
it's one
I
at
have
a
a
time.
totally
I'll be on at
different
2
date.
p.m.
I have a totally
I'll
different...
be on at 2 p.m. on 7/18. There
Okay.
you go.
And
So you guys are doing whatever day you're doing.
I'm pretty sure I'm
doing
on
that.
on the 25th, but I wasn't sure if it was set in stone yet.
I'm third choice. Oh, Yang Wu, you're in the doghouse.
Wait, what? Maybe he just,
I'm not going on until August 8th.
Maybe he just asked different days and then whatever.
That's because he's being awesome and scheduling around Nerdtacular.
Whoever's on earlier was first choice, Jocelyn.
In Jocelyn's world, that's what it means because everything is a competition to these Canadians, I swear.
Everything is a
All right, well, I was kind of hoping we were all on together. Now I know it's just me and Young Woo. Now I'm okay.
So far, that's what he's been doing. It's been him versus one other person every Saturday.
Well, this is cool. I'm looking forward to it. So you guys can all look forward to that as well. So I'm 7/18, 2 p.m. Look for that.
Sweet.
And I think, is his Twitch just Catalyst
Cataclysm.
78 like his Twitter?
I believe so.
Okay. So yeah, Catalyst 78, that's his Twitter. I believe that's his Twitter.
There's another C in there. It's Cataclysm because I always used to type it wrong.
Sorry. Cataclysm. Thanks, dude.
Because I always used to type in Catalyst with
I
a
know.
Y.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'm just like, where's Yang Wu? And then I'm like, oh, there's a second C. Why?
Yeah.
Which if Yang Wu,
like your brain just skips it because you know the word catalyst.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The next time, well, he's never been on the show proper. I got to talk to him at BlizzCon, but that was it. Young Wu, first off, you need to come on, and then we're going to ask you why the hell your Twitter is so confusing.
Yes.
I asked Rochelle Davis.
First question, screw Hearthstone.
I asked Rochelle Davis at BlizzCon why her Twitter was so confusing, and she changed it. It is now like Rochelle Davis or something. So TAC getting results. You know,
Garrett getting stuff done. So look for that. We're not going to be going on there to like grill him. We're just going to be hanging out. So
yeah, playing games.
It's going to be cool stuff.
It'll be fun.
Very casual and fun.
I believe we're strictly not allowed to ask questions about the game.
Absolutely not.
I'm joking.
Maybe we'll
people.
sneak some in there.
Yeah,
Who knows?
no, you cannot stop us from being like, wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah.
And then it'll be great because Young Woo will then be there to tell us, well, that's actually really hard to do, and let me tell you why. Anyways, Jocelyn?
So they go, oh, and check me out on my Twitch, Willie Dills SF. Go. Done.
Jocelyn, if Dills will allow you, where can folks find you?
Oh, and you can also find me.
Brilliant. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at GIS Gamer. That's the best way to keep up with when I'm actually doing things. But I am streaming pretty much 5 nights a week. Sometimes Monday slips because volleyball, but still happens. So my Twitch is the same as my Twitter, GIS Gamer. You can find me right here on AMove TV every Wednesday night doing the Gamers In. That is at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is just my general gaming podcast. Hype!
Delightful. I wanted
audio listeners are going to think I actually did that.
I want to give a extra thanks to my buddy Octane Pro, who helped me make sure everything was working right today once I got my new ISP installed. For those of you who haven't been keeping track, my ISP has been a nightmare lately. It's finally back up and running. I can stream. Huzzah. So thanks to Octane Pro for helping me make sure everything was working right. Check out all of his awesome Smite content over at youtube.com/OctanePro, SCII. Because clearly he's not doing StarCraft 2 content with that at the end of his handle. So you can find me on Twitter at GarrettArt. I'm also over at nomoonart.com for my graphic design portfolio. I'm loving all the people who are tweeting at me who are just now getting that reference. Also on Into the Nexus, talking Heroes of the Storm. We just hit a new milestone on our Patreon, so we'll actually be casting a game once a month.
Oh, I got one for you. I got a good one for you. Should I send it to you?
A game?
Yeah. I want you guys to cast a game.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you the replay.
I am your Heroes of the Storm casting monkey. Yeah, just grind that Heroes of the Storm organ grinder, and I will dance.
Sweet. By the way, speaking of casting Heroes games, are you playing in the Heroes of the Pants tournament?
Nope.
Oh, that sucks.
Ain't got
well,
no
I
time.
guess that's good for me.
I also
probably
thought I was gonna be on a team with you, and then I never heard from anyone. So.
What? Well, my team is gonna play tomorrow, I think. And I think Ro is going to cast it. I don't know where or how, but I'll tweet it out once I know more. And if it does happen, people should watch that. It should be interesting.
Nice.
You're just going to watch some real, not so pro level of Heroes play. But it'll be fun anyway.
Yeah, no, I really wanted to. I just I'm going to be gone for half of July, so
yeah,
it'll be hard to keep up.
You know
with
what?
games.
It's cool because the group stage is kind of just play the games when you can get your team together and the other team can get together. So it's kind of like, oh, here's a wide open space to play your games, and then the finals are a little more stringent. But
yeah.
I'm
I'm disappointed. I really did want to play in it, but just too much stuff popping up right now.
Yeah,
and I was just so mad I couldn't be on a team with you. So
that sucks, dude. Well, next time me and you will get together and we'll just blow these noobs out of the water.
And we're gonna hack the game and do an all Nova team. It'll be fun.
Oh, there you go.
It'll be fun. Everyone just running around.
Never lose with all Nova.
Stealthy. Well, unless everyone misses their snipe, then we're gonna lose really hard.
Yeah. What would be the best 5-person, just all the same hero? What do you think?
I feel like
5 Zagaras or something.
Someone who's very self-sustaining. So like your Zagaras or like Tyrande. Tyrande would be good because you can.
Oh, that'd be good because you can all heal and stuff.
Yeah,
and
you
do
can
damage.
heal and you can have damage builds and you can have healer. I think Tyrande.
And if you get 5 friggin' ults
Starfalls,
all going on top, the
all on
Starfalls
top,
all on top
and
of each
everyone lands their lunar flares, so everyone's stunned. Oh, beautiful, freaking beautiful.
That's insane.
Love it. Check out Into the Nexus, people, if you want more of this absurd heroes discussion. Check out our sponsors, doghouse-systems.com. The code to use is TAC. It'll get you 120 gigabyte solid state drive added onto your already amazing Doghouse Systems PC. I'm surprised how fast I can say 120 gigabyte. That's fun. I notice something new about myself every day. That'll do it for this week's show. I have gotten weird. Have a good night, everyone. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!
Hype? That was huge.